Welcome back to the Culture Crusade. And when I say welcome back, I mean that heartfelt, because it's been a minute. Unfortunately, my health has been garbage the last few weeks, and I just wasn't able to do the stream, so we missed a couple of weeks. But now we're back, and none too soon, because, oh boy, like there's a cultural moment happening at the moment, John. By the way, how are you, John? Good to see you.
Doing as well as I can in this sweltering summer heat with my AC busted, but just keep some prayers for us, guys. We're managing. I will manage, and it's good to see you, Shad. I know you're feeling rough the last couple weeks. Fully understandable.
Yeah, though I'm starting to feel better. I'm not getting better, but so much so that I was able to jump on the opportunity yesterday and film like a little video, but capitalizing on what's going on with the Odyssey, a lot of discussion, and it separates to like a discussion on the quality of film, the cultural things. That's what we're doing here. But on Shadiversity, I tested if I can string a bow like Odysseus does in the recent Odyssey film to see if it's absolute bullcrap, or can you actually string a heavy bow the way he does? And surprisingly, it worked. I was like, all right, okay. But everything else about the archery sucked balls. And I showed it like some clips in that video because holy crap, it was terrible.
But it looked like he was firing a Nerf bow at times.
Yeah,
just like, I was sitting there going, it should be much harder to draw back that bow. I know this. I've not been, I had a crossbow once, okay? That thing took an act of Congress to get that thing to pull back. I was never big into archery, but I've seen a couple guys on the shorts and Instagram, TikTok, and whatnot. Man, they've got some big backs. They've got back muscles for days just to do that as regularly as they do, and to be able to do it at great speed. And here he was firing that prop bow as if it was made of Nerf foam.
And it's supposed to be like a warfare grade bow, a war bow, right? And how they were shooting was garbage. And I called that out specifically in the Shadiversity video because I have my war bow. It's 110-pound draw weight. And yes, it shoots that. It's a very enjoyable bow to shoot, but it's an exercise. And I show the right posture and other things. And so that was a little bit of fun. I was able to push that video out yesterday. And I'm still alive well enough to do the live stream, which is a good sign, because in the last few weeks, filming or doing anything like that just was totally destroying me. And so we will get into a discussion on the Odyssey, because holy crap, there is a lot to discuss about this film that I want to get off my chest. And now being back here on nights to watch the Culture Crusade, got all the time in the world to just dive into this, because I've had my fun talking about it on F&T, and that was heaps of fun. But it's also a panel discussion, and not enough time for me to share all my thoughts. We will be doing that here. But not only that, not only talk about the film, then we're going to talk about what is happening culturally with this film. This is like becoming one of those cultural moments, and not in a good way, but also in other, like there are two ways. Like, man, people are latching onto this film like it's a life raft. And that is going to bite them in the rear end so much that I'm all here for it. I'm like, do it. If you think this is going to save your ideology and your, industry, you keep believing that. And it is going to backfire oh so dramatically. We'll talk about that as well. But before we dive into it, we like to do some preliminary discussion, other things. But I guess this is also kind of a big topic. And it's the iceberg on the horizon, which is Marvel's Doomsday. This film is not looking good. Not looking good.
More than just the way it looks, the response to it has been extraordinarily tepid, especially on my end. Most of the people just in my general Twitter-ish circles are looking at it. They're finding more to nitpick than they are anything to get engaged about. And part of that to me has been the failure of Marvel post-Endgame to really have a direct plan. Like they had projects lined up, but they did not have a clear-cut narrative going through these things leading towards this particular movie. That's why it feels like Doom just showing up out of nowhere when it was originally supposed to be Kang before the accusations took Jonathan Majors out of the picture. Really just kind of, it feels half-assed.
Oh yeah, like a lot of this film seems exactly like that, half-assed. And not only that, they're trying to cram so many things in, all the characters, even characters from other past things and all that stuff, right? And they do not have the talent to pull such a complex narrative to interweave these characters realistically, engagingly, anything like that, effectively. And so I've been calling out from the beginning that this film is just going to be a cluster, a complete mess. Hey, Dev, we're talking about Doomsday and
Doomsday, okay,
and how bad it's looking. Because
I watched the trailer this morning, and I can't remember ever watching the thing. It just kind of like out one ear, in one ear, out the other. I just don't remember. I saw on Twitter like, oh yeah, that didn't exist. I just watched it. It feels very Marvel sloppy. I don't know. It's just so bland and generic, like more Marvel crap. All right, here we go.
Yeah, and Marvel, that way
that's
too.
all they can do.
Yeah. It looks that way. Like visually, there was nothing memorable about it. You have these big moments, these big characters that are all coming together, and they don't visually look interesting. They have parsed down the costuming in these movies so much to where no one is distinctive. This right here. And it doesn't help that the color grading is so low. This looks dark. I wouldn't even know that's the Fantastic Four back there if it wasn't for their baby blue powder uniforms. That no one's distinctive.
So I've been focusing on the Odyssey and stuff like that. Hang on. Has a trailer actually dropped for Doomsday? Did I miss it?
I had that thought when I saw it on YouTube. I'm like, this was posted 2 hours ago. I hadn't seen anything on Twitter about it. Because usually when the big Marvel stuff lands, it goes on Twitter like just immediately, and it goes far and wide. And I assumed it was a fake trailer until I finally saw it posted on Twitter.
That was real. It was real.
It's an actual, like, I was
like, oh, it's another fake trailer.
All I've seen is like some screenshots like this, but not the trailer hasn't crossed my feed. I thought these were just like set photos or sneak peek images, not from an actual trailer. Holy crap! We might need to watch that just to get the experience.
The thing is, going with Dr. Doom is a really good idea, and I predicted this a long time ago because what they really needed was another big villain. That's kind of what they seem to have forgotten about or failed to realize. That the success of the MCU was there because we're all heading in this one big direction. Like we had, of course, pit stops on the way towards this one big destination, which was Thanos. Like we had a bunch of other movies along there, but the one big destination we were all knowing it's all building up to was our eventual confrontation with Thanos. And then after Thanos, to no surprise, it kind of floundered for a while because there was no set direction. It was just kind of like, here's a Marvel movie. Yeah. And they built their entire thing on it being a connected universe. Well, the connected universe really worked when they all had a connected, unified goal, which is like, it could be Captain America, just starring Captain America movie. And that overall it's going to be connected to this whole thing revolving around Thanos, Tesseracts, and all kinds of stuff. Like it's all around Thanos, and then it'd be Avengers around Thanos, and everything was around Thanos in some way or form. Like he was mentioned, he was behind the scenes pulling the strings. Even in the Guardians of the Galaxy, one of the bad guys was like his daughters, and the ally was his other daughter. So it all connected around Thanos. And then afterwards, like what happened? It's just flounders on. There's nothing connecting them. They're just like these movies are not really made to stand on their own.
Yeah, like they try and do the same thing with Kang though, but that fell apart. And one of the reasons, frankly, is because I'm sorry, guys, Kang is a stupid villain with a dumb looking outfit, and he always has been a bad villain to me. I'm sorry.
Also, how they depicted him was also bad. But to Litdale's
that didn't
point
help.
about Thanos, even if Thanos actually didn't appear in as Thanos that much, they did like elements of him, discussion of him, references to him.
You could feel him
seeded out, and it built him up properly. And they have done none of that with Dr. Doom here. And not only that, right? I'm not sure if have you guys read the leaks, the actual plot leaks for this?
Yeah,
I didn't care enough to. Okay.
I
the
read them
entire
and,
plot has leaked,
huh.
and I've read it because I don't care about this film. Nothing in this film has like caught me, interested me, made me want to like, you know, reserve the actual, you know, watching experience by avoiding spoilers at all. I just do not care. Everything I've seen about this film has been underwhelming, and the MCU is in such a garbage state that I just don't give a crap about it. And I loved the MCU, but now nothing in it really care about. And so much like they're bringing back all these other Marvel characters. The X-Men are coming back. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man are coming back, and they're just going to bring him back to kill him. They're just like, oh, I don't want to watch all these characters I really like just die. That sucks.
That's kind of what they forgot about, especially with Spider-Man. They're like, okay, let's keep torturing Spider-Man because the more he suffers, the better the story is. Like the thing is, we want balancing. The fans want to balance. It doesn't matter. It's okay if he suffers. We also want him to be rewarded as well. And they kind of forget about the reward part. They just kind of just focus on the suffering part.
And not
his
only
big
that,
reward was always being, you know, married to a smoking hot redhead, but they took that away from him and they refused to let him have it back. Thank you, Joe Quesada.
Yep. And not only that, right? Marvel just has a track record of assassinating their characters. Not like their characters always die. I'm talking about their character, who they are, their morality. They assassinate those elements and make them either horrible people and just destroy them. And it's like one after another, from Doctor Strange to you go through the list to what they've just totally emasculated Hulk. They've made Daredevil into a joke. Captain America isn't even Captain America anymore. Thor is a clown. Like they've just gone through and destroyed all these great characters, and now they're going to go, oh, we haven't touched the Fox X-Men yet. And if you know if you've read the leaks, I like what they are doing with the X-Men is just vile. They're turning them into villains, and I can't stand that. And so this movie not only like has not been interesting to me, everything like things that I've been hearing about has just made me despise what it looks like they're going to be doing to these characters that we grew up on and we loved. And it's just like,
and none of it was earned. That's the thing that gets me as a storyteller. You're trying to have, if you've read the leaks, there's a lot of big emotional moments that are supposedly happening here, but none of it's been earned. Absolutely none of it has been earned in the slightest to justify pulling these things off. And it's got the reek of desperation on the storytelling that they're like, well, here's some of your favorites. Oh, they're gone now. Oh, goodness.
And Martin were kind of made like an author coming up with the story, but they never develop it further. Because as an author, you tend to come up with stories, emotions first. Like, oh, what if we had this scene? I want to make a story with this scene or this opening, and then you make the story, you work on it, and it all flows together. And you can go from the beginning to the first emotional scene, and then but because you've worked on it, it's all earned. But these modern day writers, at least in the mainstream, seem to have no such obligation. They're like, oh, what if it strung a bunch of emotional moments together? That's a good movie. It's kind of like they did with the Rise of Skywalker. Remember that? At least the rumors of how Rise of Skywalker was made, where they kind of said, oh, yeah, we'll just kind of string together all the scenes that tested well. They'll make that a movie.
Oh, my gosh.
Which is a horrible thing. I mean, remember that whole thing that happened with YouTube and YouTube Rewind? Where they made like the super woke, like YouTube Rewind that everyone hated. And then they're like, okay, so what usually happens after that is they always get passive aggressive, right? So then they go, okay, how about we just do it by the numbers? And that's exactly what they did. They went by the numbers and said, okay, we'll just put this year's Rewind is just going to be about how all the videos that have the most likes and the most views. And so it's like a bunch of videos.
So corporate. It was
so passive aggressive. Like, okay, then you do it. You can't complain if it's all stuff you guys like. And of course, it was dumb because what you really want to do is kind of be in touch with what people actually like.
Well, then independent YouTubers actually made their own rewind videos, actually showcasing
They're awesome.
what the people on the platform were engaging with properly and what those discussions were, and they did so much better. Well, they were received so much better.
Didn't that get downvoted so hard that was what made YouTube remove the the downvote button or the visible downvote count.
I think it contributed, but one of the other
it's part
things
of
that
it, yeah.
contributed was in the Biden presidency, all the White House clips were getting downvoted into
To
oblivion.
hell, yeah.
And,
but I think they should. I think they're going to have to start bringing that back because the downvote button now, even if you have the app or the plugin, is incorrect now. It's inaccurate. It's just kind of going by a guess, but it's in our favor. So all the stuff that we hate is like downvote, like the Odyssey trailer, 500,000 downvotes. That's probably not accurate, but people are using that to see the downvotes, and it's like, whoa, you're being blown out of the water with these downvotes. So, I mean, at this point, if that keeps happening, I think YouTube be better off kind of bringing it back so we can see the accurate number.
Well, I can't see the number on this because I don't have the extension installed, but this is the Doomsday trailer. I haven't seen this. I have not seen this. So this is like a complete fresh reaction. And it starts with, oh yeah, this is Xavier Institute. It's obviously
I have seen this, and it'll still be a fresh reaction.
Yeah.
You know, we have so rarely in the X-Men movies. This is always a complaint of mine. They always showed like big moments in the X-Men movies where it was never really the X-Men in their prime. Kind of the same way they never have a movie about Batman in his prime with his whole rogues gallery. Like it's always the school is shut down or the school is getting blown up, or you never really show it at the height of the X-Men in their prime with the school operating and them going out and doing stuff.
And the full team roster, yeah.
Yeah, they never do that. And that always bugs me. And their excuse when you point it out is, well, that was all done in the comics. That's great. Okay, I've got the comics. I read the comics. I want to see an adaptation of that. That is not this in-between nonsense. But, okay, my camera stopped working. I'll hopefully this doesn't happen the whole stream. But go ahead. Don't mind me.
Yeah, let's play. Let's see what this is. Xavier. Half of the course so far.
Something's coming. Something we may not be able to.
Oh dear. Like, I'm recognizing the moments here because I've read the entire spoiler script, and this is confirming some of the stuff, which is not good. The entire leaked plot of Doomsday, if that is accurate, this film is garbage in the extreme and also nonsensical and offensive if you love these characters. And what is happening here, that seems to be confirming it. This isn't good.
To deter. Before this day is done, we shall be faced with an unthinkable.
Is that Doom's voice?
Yeah. I don't care for it.
I mean, he should have an accent. He's from what, Latveria or something like that.
Is Robert Downey Jr. doing more work than the actors in the Odyssey? on an accent.
It doesn't have that gravitas that Thanos did, right? He's going strictly off of the gravitas from the comic books, which if you haven't seen him before now, you don't have much of the context for Doom. Then why would you fear this guy?
If they pull it off right, Dr. Doom is going to be the best character because he's everything. He's everything you want a supervillain to be. He's arrogant. He's brilliant. He's like master of science and math. He's like everything you want of supervillain. So this is really good.
That's my
worry.
Question.
My worry, he's going to have constant Deus Ex Machina powers just because reasons. He's going to be like, from the leaks, right? He is so insanely overpowered, it breaks all continuity and any sense. And it's like, how, right? We're like, he's going to be pulling off things that Thanos, with all the Infinity Stones, wasn't able to do. I'm not kidding. I'm actually not kidding when I say that. And so, if those leaks are true, Doom they're gonna ruin one of the coolest villains that you can work with by him just being a bullcrap, plot hole machine, basically, which is just gonna piss me off.
Well, this is the problem with everything post Thanos is that in order to feel like you're upping the ante, you have to come up with a threat that feels like it's bigger than Thanos. And that's really hard. And even when you do, it's going to start to feel unbelievable, which is kind of where the wall you're running up against, Shad.
Mm-hmm.
I've fought with many warriors in my time.
Pause.
So I was so underwhelmed by the Fantastic Four. I feel nothing seeing them. I'm like, yeah, Fantastic Four is there. And also, like, Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards is just like, I get a sense of revulsion. It's like, that's not Reed Richards. Just Pedro Pascal forced into everything again.
Well, fortunately, he's paired with Invisible Woman, who's probably going to have all the spotlight.
Probably.
So he's probably not going to get so much screen time because Invisible Woman is there.
Thor is with them for some reason in the background. Thor, as much of a clown that they made him, is still probably one of the only remaining like popular characters that hasn't been utterly because Captain America has been cast off, essentially dead. They're forcing him back, but Captain Shirtpants.
Well, if what we heard in some reports and insider things, this might be great. It's kind of good, I think, that Thor's back. We have one of the, we have him back. And Chris Hemsworth in the past said he realized that they went too far with Thor as a joke, right? He realized after Blood and Blunder or whatever it was called that Thor had been turned into a running gag too much. And the only way he was going to come back, he kind of insinuated the only way he'd come back as Thor is if they could kind of course correct that particular ship. So I feel like Thor, at the very least, will be a return to form for him.
Hopefully, but like you have so many characters that how much screen time and attention and time are they really going to be able to give him to course correct? So
You're far stronger.
The false Avengers, man, I hated Armor.
Maskless jabronis. I hate that they're not in masks. I really do.
Oh my gosh! Like, see the guy in the middle, Bucky. He should be Captain America right now.
He really should be. Yeah, there's no reason why. What's his name? Falcon should be Captain America. He was already his own guy.
Yeah, exactly. They ruined Falcon. Falcon had a cool idea, cool concept. They just kind of mashed them together, forced Captain America. And we all know why, because they wanted a diverse Captain America, even though it did not make sense.
Meanwhile, Bucky, it would have been so perfect to top off Bucky's character arc, going from a super spy soldier working for the Russians to his redemption and then donning the Captain America cowl and shield. That would have been the perfect top off to his character arc.
This is what I mean about feeling nothing. Like everything that I'm seeing here just reminds me of how pissed off I am at the MCU for the crap and that they have done to the characters and the world that we once loved, right? And so this isn't working. This is not working.
You're far stronger than all of us put together, and they died.
And I'm like, guess who is talking about, everyone?
Died.
Enemies. Why do we got the Wakandans in this?
Are they fighting the Na'vi? It looks the
like
Na'vi.
It, but those are Namor's people, I'm pretty sure.
That scared me far less than this one.
So we got the X-Men.
I kind of feel like they should have done an X-Men movie first to introduce some of these characters, because
that should have been the first movie they made after Endgame. Sorry.
Well, yeah, they should have started with the X-Men, and because they didn't, it's like, man, this movie's gonna have to be doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Well, these are just the Fox X-Men. There's like, oh, that's all the work done. We're just gonna co-op them, force them in this narrative, and what the X-Men, again, if the leaks are true, what the X-Men were doing, it ruins the X-Men. It ruins them.
And may I say, sir, please, Fox, okay, guys, it should not, thank you for this. It should not have taken 25 years and 14 movies to get Cyclops in his comic accurate costume.
Exactly.
None of them should have taken this long. Wolverine should have been in it by at least movie 4. Yep. I cannot stand the fact that the X-Men movies especially did this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they never had cynical nostalgia reasons.
Yeah, exactly. It comes off as cheap cash grab stuff,
but it is nice, and that does look sexy.
But like Gambit fighting Shang-Chi.
Are we showing
Shang-Chi? Get out of here!
I do like Gambit though. Yeah, I like Gambit since I was a kid.
But Gambit, like, here's one that they haven't done any heavy lifting. He barely appeared in the Fox X-Men at all, and now he's like full blown Gambit glory. It's like, I don't know. It feels like the final course. Where was everything else? You know.
If I hear that Shang-Chi is killed by Doom in this movie, I will go see it.
You know, that might be the
one thing.
The one thing right there. Channing Tatum as Gambit.
Where's Marvel's Katie?
Oh, why are you giving so much time to Shang-Chi? Already he's got like more time, it seems like, than even Captain America or Doomsday.
Everything that they sacrificed will be for nothing
Like,
if we do not stand together.
Oh man, all the generic we must stand together. Be who you be, all you can be. It's like all these like military slogans. It means
Trailer
nothing. It's all
lines.
fluff. How about you give us something substantive, something real, not corporate fake out trailer lines. It's so fake.
It is.
All
You're
it's
right.
missing is
There's
someone yelling,
nothing
"Let's go," or a curse word cut off by an explosion.
And it's like there's nothing of substance here.
It's all empty.
Yep.
You know what? I just watched Wonder Woman 2009 yesterday, and that was right before the Dark Times happened. And man, not only is that film good, not only is that film not woke, it's anti-feminist. It's a very good movie. I recommend it. It's very entertaining. The battles are cool. Like I was surprised about how fun it was. But one of the things was they had like this whole thing where Steve Trevor goes, "Ah, crap," or something like that, and the Amazons didn't know what that meant. So they used the last one of truth to figure it out, like what it meant. It's like, okay, it's another word for excrement, and like, oh my goodness, men are so foul and awful. And I was like, he kept using that word even when Wonder Woman took him back to America. And he's like, "Oh, you vulgar men," using that horrible phrase. And then there's one point where she's fighting Ares, and he becomes powerful. And, he's like, "I you launch a nuke, I get really powerful." And then Wonder Woman goes, "Oh crap!" we need one of those moments in there. Be real, be human, be authentic. Say something vulgar. It can't. It doesn't always have to be. We must stand together. We must find out who we really. That you could just copy paste every trailer line, all the trailer lines into the same trailer. It's just all the same slop.
Yep. And just because it's very topical, we'll get the other super chats. But Nathan Cassidy says, my expectations were subtraining just from the sheer number of characters, but they somehow surprised me with how bad this is. Yeah.
Did you notice how short the Thing was in that scene? I noticed it on Twitter a little while ago. When the Wakandan is taller than the Thing is.
I would be too disappointed if they just made like a, what's her name, Yolanda or whatever. I wouldn't, like, if she just made a movie about her and like some like crazy spy antics, that'd be kind of cool. Not everything has to be universe level threat. What if we get some street villains, some street bad guys, street heroes?
I wonder if Spider-Man is going to be a bit like that. And I actually think Spider-Man has a chance to earn more money than Doomsday. So we'll see.
Oh, especially because Doomsday is probably going to be costing $1 billion to make because of all the stars and stuff.
Oh, yeah. God.
It could probably make money a lot better.
Yep. Oh, look, Mystique.
Who's this?
That's Mystique.
Who's playing Mystique?
I don't know who's
Rebecca
playing
Romaine Stamos. Or Rebecca Romaine now, I guess. So it's her. It's her under that makeup.
All right.
Presume nothing except this.
Looking a little old there, Gandalf.
Yeah.
If you return, you will return as brothers and sisters.
So you're 90.
Wow. Dev, you were so right about the generic kind of talk. It's like, we must stand as one. We will return as brothers and sisters. Bad things are happening. Everyone rally. Random shots of people posing.
It's every time, same generic slop. It's like empty dialogue, just random shots of action. It's so empty. It
Actually,
is.
Actually, funny thing that got pointed out to me on Twitter, if you notice while watching this, there is only 2 shots of actual action in this. And one of them was between Gambit and Shang, whatever his name is, and I don't know, and Mystique and Yelena. And that's it.
Well, there might be one between Thor and Doom. And if that clip is correct,
I could understand if this was the teaser or the teaser for the trailer or something, but this is the first trailer.
You know,
this is not selling me.
No, not at all. Cyclops, characters screaming, Okay, this right. Like I know what happens because I've sort of seen like a small little image of the result, and this pisses me off, and I'll explain why. Okay, hold
the
up.
effect.
So Doom blocks the like
Stormbreaker.
Thor's Stormbreaker with 2 fingers, a weapon made to destroy Thanos. Okay, and this is what I mean. Thanos with the Infinity Stones, right? Like Stormbreaker would hurt him, and Doom just like no, it's just no, not with this power scaling that you've previously shown. This is bull crap. All right, where is how? No, it just I'm like. I can't stand bullcrap power scaling, and they're just Doom is capable of doing whatever the hell he wants because reasons. It's just
We're going to need a miracle.
A bigger boat.
Right now, it's not possible.
Oh my goodness. Is Loki back?
cameo.
No.
Captain America.
It's Captain Shirt Pants.
Captain Shirt Pants.
And now he has the hammer.
Captain Shirt
Which
Pants.
meant something when he did it the first time.
Yeah.
Till also for him as well, you know, till you're 92.
Look at what they've done to him.
Till you're 90.
Now I made that the shirt and the pants are legit. I added the caption.
They hate costumes. Hollywood is they want all their heroes in like jackets and things they get from Walmart.
Especially masks.
You know the reason why? It's because it's like, no, we have to double down, triple down that Falcon is Captain America and would be racist if we gave the shield back and everything like that. The only way this could have actually had any positive effect, make people interested, if he was wearing his old school Captain America outfit, or even the black one to show that is like, you know, a side kind of Captain America, something like that. But the fact that you're just like, well, no, he's not Captain America. He's completely sidelined. He's going to play a prominent role as Mr. Shirt Pants, not as Captain America. So the Captain America that we love is sidelined and gone, and this is what we get. And my reaction is, piss off with that. Get out of here. Can't stand it. Not a
Chad, show the popcorn bucket.
Oh, where is it? Let me find it. Oh, here it is. Yeah, like, oh my gosh. This is iconic, don't you think, guys? This is completely iconic.
The iconic black shirt.
It's not real, but I get the joke and humor where it's like that's you know.
Is this brought to you by Men's Classic Tea?
I hate it. I actually hate this.
I said it on Twitter, man. I feel nothing. Yeah.
Also, another thing I dislike about the modern day superheroes is that everyone has to call each other by their names instead of the superhero names. So, like in DC, it's always like Clark, Bruce, Diana. Like, bro, we're out in public. Stop it.
Yep.
Steve.
But this is the highlight of the trailer. He's back, guys. This is so cheap and hollow. It's just like, we can't do anything of real substance, so we're going to try and bait you in with a cash grab cameo. That's what this is. And well, it's not just a cameo. It's going to be a primary character, but cash grab, I guess, nostalgia bait, bringing an actual character that we once loved back in. But
I saw a few Captain Falcon stands and few of the fans that he has left salty over this. Like, why are y'all focusing on him so much? How come my boy didn't get his time to shine in the trailer? He's Captain America now. They just don't get it. They didn't get it then, and they still don't get it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the leaks of what, you know, Captain America has done in the sidelines, in the background of what's been going on, destroys his character. If they're true, that's what he's done, it's just like, you've ruined him. You've brought him back just to ruin him more. Well done. Well friggin' done, Marvel.
I mean, they should have never taken him away to begin with, to be perfectly honest. I mean, Gary's always been right about this. Just if they didn't want to play the role anymore, recast them.
Yeah. Easy option. Doomsday. Wow. That looks like crap. That looks like genuine crap.
Now remember, this is gonna be like part 1 of 2 movies. I think this is gonna end. This is probably gonna end like Infinity War on a down note with Doom winning, and the whole thing gets wrapped up in Secret Wars, in which, if the rumors are true, they're gonna be doing like a soft reboot at that point.
Yeah.
No,
If there's anyone even interested in the MCU by that point.
I kind of wish they had gotten Javier Bardem to play Doom. I think that'd be kind of cool.
That would have been awesome.
It's like that'd been pretty fun. I like Javier Bardem. I think he plays good roles. But
I don't
okay,
even care if he had the wrong accent.
we just finished the trailer. What was the movie about?
Something bad is happening. Maybe Doom is bad, and people need to fight and come together because it's bad. Trust us, it's really bad, and there's going to be fighting. And we bring back characters that you like. Come watch it, because we remember these characters. We don't have the talent or respect to do them justice or to make them fun or interesting or proper movies. But come back and watch it. Trust us, it's going to be good.
Remember when the Marvel cameo was like a delightful like cherry on top instead of an entire crutch for them to rely on?
Yes. I remember.
I kind of wonder what changed. Did Chris Evans, to change Chris Evans' mind, did they offer him enough of a bucket load of money to come back? Or did he go out there and all his other films that he's been in kind of flatlined a little bit, and he realized, oh, I wasn't the star all along. It was Captain America was the role that really put me up there. And he's like, I got to come back, even though probably means going back on those PEDs, bro.
You know what? I think it's a bit of both. And not looking good. We can leave it at that for that. But all right, gentlemen, the time has come. Let us discuss the Odyssey. The greatest film ever made, apparently. It's like, no joke. I mean, we'll talk about like in its own segment, but higher review scores than The Lord of the Rings.
That's totally legit.
Yeah,
I don't think it was that good.
No. Let's discuss it then. So I have very strong thoughts. I haven't heard, gentlemen, what your thoughts are. I hated this film, and I think it's complete dog crap. But that's me. Gentlemen, what did you think of the Odyssey?
I caught it in a manner of speaking. I probably did miss out on the kind of spectacle the watching it the proper way would have given it to me, but I would have felt cheated if I had done that, because what little good there was in the movie is far outshined by the stuff that is bad or nitpicky or just flat out wrong by it. Its narrative is this is one kind of like the Wheel of Time, right? Where the broad strokes only work when you get the small strokes right. And they got a lot of the small strokes wrong. The nobody aspect of the encounter with the Cyclops being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this parses down to Nolan's decision to take the gods and as much of the myth and gods out of the movie as possible to try and ground it, which is frankly starting to become his biggest weak point in his movies. He has big ideas and takes on big projects, but he tries to parse them down to as human a level as possible. And it's starting to make his more fantastical projects feel very wrong. I like the Batman trilogy, but that was so parsed down, it was practically just a crime thriller with an occasional shot of a guy in a bat suit. And that's kind of what this suffered from too. It felt like it wanted to be more military, more of a military fiction movie than it did an actual gods and monsters mythological journey.
Well, there is that. I actually think the purpose behind this film is far more subversive and ideologically based. I think so much of this film has been trying to twist and warp the old tale to fit an ideological narrative and message. And when message about, it gets into things of immigration, men bad, feminism, all of that. is crammed into this film in actually, I would say subtle ways. So subtle that it's not like Barbie where it beats you over the head with the ideology, and a lot of people are missing it. But when you're like, you pay attention, or not even, you don't have to pay attention too much, because some of it is kind of blatant, like the whole Zeus's law kind of thing, be kind to strangers and stuff, and like then it plays into other things, but I won't go crazy too much on it. Litdev, have you been able to see the Odyssey?
Oh yeah, I have.
Yeah, what are your thoughts?
I'm in the middle of this movie. Like, it's just but I talked about this morning and people were like, we don't know if you like it or hate it. But there's some parts so look, Christopher Nolan is a very pretentious creator, but if you like his style, I think people will find things to enjoy about it, because when it was allowed to be the Odyssey, it was a lot of fun. I thought it was pretty entertaining. I thought the pretty cool it was a pretty cool scene that they added in there where they're inside the horse. I thought that was pretty interesting, kind of a war story. But yeah, it is more like a war story than the Odyssey. Okay, it can strip down the physical elements. You're
touching on something interesting, important in relation to the discussion of this film, because to me, that scene could have been really interesting and really cool, talking about the difficulties in the thing. But you know what ruined it for me? Is the fact that when they show the inside of the horse, they show that there is plenty of space around them and above, and they're just letting guys drown underneath them, and they're trying to say, there wasn't any room, we had to get them to breathe through straws. And what you're showing me is actively contradicting what you're saying. What you're showing me is that you could have just lifted them up and they would have been fine, and you just let them die.
I don't even know why the horse is half buried in the sand.
Exactly. Why did you leave the horse half buried in the sand to actually have people die? This is the horse right here. It's like, hang on, that's like a really like high quality bit of carpentry, except especially the shaped legs. You're telling me like guys on the beach were just, carving out and polishing these shaped legs and horses for, ages, when they were there for 10 years fighting, going through hell, and they made this immaculate horse. It was like, that's a perfect example of, I think people are getting fooled by, I guess, the presentation of stuff without noticing, not like that. When I say substance, I'm saying the lack thereof, the stupidity that's underlining it. I am kind of perceiving this film as, and I think it's actually a very clever bit of audience manipulation on Nolan's part. And I think Nolan has like purposely cultivated this type of stuff where he actually wants things to be so confusing that people think that the real meaning must be something good, meaningful, deep, but because they can't figure it out, they just give it the grace or, leeway and assume that it is without actually unpacking it. Because, like, who can make sense of Tenet? It's beyond our comprehension. So,
it must be smart.
It must be smart, right? And so I liken this film almost to like the modern art of cinema, where it's actual garbage, but it's presented on the wall where people are looking at it thinking like, there must be something special about it because everyone else is saying it's special and Nolan is great. And so I mean, it kind of looks pretty, but they're not realizing it's actually just crap smeared on a canvas with a pretty, screen on top of it. They're distracted by the pretty screen without realizing that this is actually just absolute feces smothered on a canvas presented as art. That's my take on the Odyssey so much. And I can break down many elements. Like, I think this film is an abomination on multiple levels. And if it was just bad on even one of those levels, it probably would have ruined my enjoyment for the film. But in culmination, it has made me passionately hate it. Well, like, let's start with a surface level thing that doesn't mean a lot for a lot of people. Historical accuracy. This film is an abomination on nearly every level.
Well, the accuracy was awful.
It was
all over the place.
One of the worst period films I have ever seen. Guys, like this was the armor of the Trojans. Like, it looks like it's made of foam. It looks like what the hell even is this crap? But unironically, this was like some of the first armor we see on the screen from the Trojans. And this is one of the biggest pieces of crap I have ever seen. But this is indicative of most of the armor that we see from Odysseus to the hunting clothes that we see from the other king. Oh, and the Batman armor for the king. Like all the things that we saw from the trailers, like were confirmed to be so atrocious and worse. Like this is what they could have had. They could have like a muscle cuirass, like something historical, but instead they went with
Had like intricate little nipples, like carved to them.
Garbage. I'm just this armor alone is so bad. I'm near speechless. This is as bad or worse than the Witcher penis armor or the
Rings
of Power.
The ball sack armor.
The ball sack armor. No joke.
That at least had detail to it. Interesting, I don't want to say interesting. It wasn't that interesting, but it had detail that was just not present. The giants, I forgot what their names were. Their armor was so bland and it looked like untextured PS2 graphics. And why was their armor more like this was the Bronze Age? Why was there forged steel in this present?
Oh, we'll get to that. Like again, yeah, we've got like steel, futuristic looking like giants on an island that are just apparently just sitting on the beach wearing it, waiting for people to arrive to slaughter them for no apparent reason. Just, you're here, we're going to kill you. And we are wearing our battle grade fighting armor, just hanging around, just waiting for people to arrive. It's retarded beyond belief. The boat, which it's there throughout the entire film, is a Viking longship. It's not a Greek ship at all. The walls of Troy are puny. They're like only 20 feet tall. You could actually assail that with ladders. These are not the unassailable walls of Troy. The door of Troy is like paper thin. Like the archery, no one knows how to hold or shoot a bow at all throughout this film. Like some of the swords were all right. That's all I can give it. But outside of that, this film, from an accuracy standpoint, is one of the biggest pieces of crap ever. But hey, sometimes you can just push that to the side and enjoy a good film. Let's talk about some of the actual more substantive plot points of the film, because holy crap.
I have a question, Shad, because I am much more historically illiterate than you are. The thing on top of the helmets, right? The fins. I thought that was something from the Roman era, not the Bronze Age.
I would actually want to look that one up just to confirm. You might have a point there.
It may just be I associate that style more with Roman armor, so I'm okay with being wrong. Again,
there's some overlap between Greek and Roman, so that's the one I'd actually want to look up and double check. But oh gosh, I'm just seeing this picture. Let me save this image and then bring it up, because just the armor
that one suit of armor that looks like it came from like Star Wars or something. It looked cool. It just didn't look like it belonged in this movie.
Exactly. That one was atrocious. This one here is Odysseus, right? And so this is what he's wearing throughout most of the film, and it just looks like crap. Looks like unfitted crap.
They could have made him look. He's the king of Ithaca. They could have made him look a little bit more
ornate. Give it something ornate,
like as inaccurate as the armor in Troy was, I would prefer that 100 times more than this just cheap, unfitted, slop. It's fantasy garbage slop, right? That's we have for their armor. I mean, the sword, it's all right. It's all right, but it could be better. And also, they look a bit too wide as well. There are things that actually talk about in regards to the swords. Okay, but no, let's talk about the plot. So the film basically kind of kicks off with Odysseus saying, "Yeah, let's just take the long way around," So it's like, okay, so we start off with that, and they're going across the seas, and it's like you might be able to just go along with it so far, but there are issues to even raise with some of the choices that is making early on. But we get to the Cyclops scene. Oh my god,
this was a big disappointment for me, because you could tell he wanted to do this as little as possible.
Yeah,
It was
he
just
kind of he didn't
retarded.
really like the fantastical elements. Like he really kind of dial it down
Yeah.
on the fantastical. But I mean, if that's the case, he really should have done the Odyssey, because you can't really do the Odyssey without the fantastical elements.
He should
Exactly.
have leaned into it. And that's what I said about him scaling back and trying to bring as much of the fantastical elements of science fiction and fantasy. You don't scale those back so much to where they don't hardly exist at all. If anything, you need to lean into them even more, because that's what we enjoy out of these kinds of stories, even ones that are mythologically based.
And
Now
so
with Agamemnon, with his armor. Now, when in the trailer came out, I was like, "Oh, this is crazy! What the hell kind of armor is this?" But when I went to go see the movie, I kind of like what they're trying to do with Agamemnon. They're trying to portray him as this above it all dark lord. He can't see his face because he is the king of the Greeks. That's kind of what happened. He's the overlord of the Greeks, and that they kind of portrayed him as this untouchable high lord. Because one of the things that they had in the movie was that Odysseus didn't want to go to war, but he couldn't refuse Agamemnon. That's also something they kind of touched on in Troy, because they all served Agamemnon. And so they made Agamemnon like this faceless, dark, like almost like a Darth Vader-esque figure in terms of like trying to pull off this mystique that he had. That's what they try to play him off as. And then it's so like when they open the gates of Troy, he's just standing there, right? He's just standing there while his men rush in. He's like this dark lord invading and conquering. And so this is kind of like, and so it kind of gives you the essence, the hint as to why no one defied him, because he seems like a walking god himself in this movie, and the armor really sells that.
See, I think they could have sold it with more historically accurate armor. Some of that armor looks friggin' peak, especially like Spartan-esque kind of, armor with it, the tight look of it. To me, again, because of the historical side, this is just like comical Batman grade, and they could have pulled off what they wanted.
It's like a Batman mask.
it's just Batman fantasy garbage. But let's talk about this Cyclops scene, because outside, like, if you don't know the context of the original story, it makes it even worse, because the Cyclops comes in, just eats a guy because they're there, and so it's like, okay, the Cyclops is a cannibalistic monster that's just going to eat people, but then it acts like it doesn't see any of the other guys, and it's like, these are legit potential threats. You're just going to ignore them. Now in the actual, it just goes to sleep within there. The actual story, like I've started to watch the 96, 97 TV miniseries of the Odyssey.
That one's good.
It's actually, so I'm enjoying it way more than the Odyssey, and it's more accurate as well. And the original Cyclops can talk, right? And actually explains some of the logic, whereas like, I'm just going to keep you here and eat you at my leisure because you can't really hurt me, and is arrogant and stuff like that. They don't explain that context. It's just like a random monster.
I think it's worse if he could talk. Right? He seems more evil. Like, it's worse in terms of like, he seems more evil and cruel if he can talk, as opposed to him not being able to talk, which makes him seem like a mindless monster. So he doesn't. Yeah. He's dangerous, but he kind of seems like an oaf, or just kind of like.
Yeah, just this, mentally disabled freak, kind of just living out whoop whoop. And so I'm sitting there wondering, like why are you acting like you can't even see the humans? And there's no, like, because it doesn't talk, it doesn't explain his logic at all. It just looks like he's a complete moron letting the humans live there at any apparent, thing.
And then it looks like he just goes to sleep.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
He comes in, eats a guy, and then just goes off for a nap. The only way I could think to maybe explain that is he considers them such lesser beings that he considers them cattle, basically, and not even worth engaging with. But that, again, taking the whole conversation with the creature out of the context of this story, it changes so much of the lore. It just kind of becomes like a random D&D monster encounter of sorts.
Yeah, that plays out completely retarded. Like, they don't really utilize the sheepskins that much, and they don't explain how the Cyclops is getting fooled by it, because at one point I think the Cyclops' eye is still working fine and they're trying to hide his sheep and anything like that. That was retarded. The trying to escape with the door lowering and closing was nonsense, because there was moments where it's like they couldn't survive. They don't properly show that there were still men trapped behind, which is why Odysseus goes back. That was retarded.
They also don't show the reason the Cyclops went to sleep is because in the story, Odysseus got him drunk.
Got him drunk. In this one, the Cyclops just like, all right, random creatures that could harm me, I'm going to ignore them, go to sleep, because it's particularly retarded. It's mentally disabled, this version.
If at its kindest interpretation, it's like, okay, did the Cyclops know that they would not kill him since he's the only one that can open the door? It's like, that's the kindest interpretation. It's like, okay, well, can't open the door, so they're not going to kill me.
But has a pretty vulnerable eye.
It did stab his eye, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so the sheep thing, like I said, is retarded. Now, the original, right? Odysseus does a word game with where he does clever things. Gets it drunk first, okay, to get it to fall asleep. They injure the eye, which makes it needs to call for help. But Odysseus doesn't reveal his actual name. He says his name is Nobody. And so when the Cyclops goes to call for help, he says, "Nobody blinded me," and his brothers don't understand what's going on. And he doesn't know Odysseus' real name to try and get his father's vengeance upon him, which is Poseidon. Okay, and so there's actually a perfectly good vein of logic in the original tale. And then when Odysseus escapes, in arrogance, Odysseus thinks he is safe on his boat and then calls back to the Cyclops and taunts him and tells him his real name. That's the moment of taunting. I'm victorious. And then that stuffs him up because the Cyclops is the child of Poseidon, and the Cyclops is able to use the real name of Odysseus to curse him, and then Poseidon basically curses him upon the seas, and it's going to take ages to get back. This version
like, this is the smaller strokes that I was telling you about, Shad. Because by taking this out of the story, it takes out one of the big reasons why they didn't get back as quickly, as much sooner than they did, because Poseidon was obscuring his path.
Yep.
Cause and effect. And you've taken away a big part of the narrative that really means something that should have stayed in there because you wanted to be grounded, because you didn't want to play around with myths and monsters.
Odyssey is such a retard now. Instead of taunting him on the boat where we're in a place of safety, as they're leaving the cave, Odysseus decides to turn back and shoot him in the eye, provoking the Cyclops to chase them and kill more of his men.
And then they had to run away.
I just couldn't believe it.
They were like, what the hell, Odysseus? What are you doing? You're home free.
Exactly. What are you doing? You astronomical moron.
Also, the way the Odysseus is portrayed here bothered me even in the movie, because 80% of the time he's kind of this miserable, guilt-ridden Odysseus.
Yes.
And then every once in a while he has to be Odysseus from the actual poem, the actual story, and it just makes no sense. Like, you just gonna, why is this guilt-ridden Odysseus like, oh, strap me to the post so I can listen to the sirens. Let me go ahead and just fight Polyphemus. I'm just gonna shoot him or something. Like, every single time he kind of has to act like the Odysseus from the Odyssey, it feels out of character. Even sitting in a theater, I was like, this is it's strange that he does these things, because that's not his character anymore.
It's completely inconsistent, and he's a boring, mopey character with no gravitas or heroism or exemplary kind of strength at all. He's just like just a guy, a random mopey.
He doesn't even feel like he is much of a military leader, which, look, I've got family that's been in the military. The idea that the superiors above you do not care about what happens to you, especially the most immediate supervisors that you would have right over you, that's just blatantly false. There is a brotherhood aspect to this that really didn't get shown in the movie that I've saw. It just seemed like a lot of his crew was just there to be red shirts.
Yeah,
he was not bothered all that much by the times that they were taken out.
Yeah, and so many of his men end up dying because of his own stupidity. And the Cyclops is a perfect example where people say, oh, his men die because of his actions in the original. Yeah, but a lot of it is like actually tied into his character, and his character is arrogant, and it makes sense. Where this is just a retard. And why would anyone follow him if he's just so incompetent and stupid? And so that whole Cyclops scene would just like absolute garbage crap. And so I can't remember exactly what the next island was, but it might be the giant island. And that was just farcical, comical nonsense. They get to an island and there's like a kid there, kind of wearing armor, kind of not. They say hi to him. Oh, sorry. This was before the "We are Greeks from Ithaca" said by a guy who's clearly not Greek, right? On one of the islands.
His laughably diverse crew.
Oh,
there's like some Indians. There's an Asian guy in there.
Indian, and it's just like
Greek from Bali.
We're Greeks from Ithaca. It's just like stop trying to gaslight.
We are Greek.
It's like this film constantly tries to tell you something, and what they show is contradicted blatantly on the screen. And so, they get to the giant island. The giants apparently just sit there in like full plate armor, waiting for people to arrive to slaughter them. It undercut any type of epic tension, combat, fear for safety, for just how absurd it was. It became a clown scene where I'm just watching like, this is stupid. What is going on? This is absolutely retarded. But it's like, and that's
my favorite part was when they ran into those very thin trees and acted like they were iron bars they couldn't get past or pull apart slightly.
Right? Oh my gosh. And so there's the whole stuff with the suitors. They spend a lot of time at the kingdom. And I'm just looking at this fortress, and it's like over 2,000 to 3,000. It's got thousands of years of weathering, and it's an actual base almost in ruins. But hang on, in ancient Greece, it wasn't ancient Greece. It was the modern. This would be like a more freshly built fortress, but it's like just in shambles, ruinous from the outside. And it's like, all right, so there's that. I don't think Odysseus and his queen had good chemistry, Anne Hathaway. And the whole setup with the suitors.
The feminism, like speaking of Anne Hathaway, the feminism in the film was another detriment to it.
Yes.
Now, I will admit this. I did overall kind of like the film. It's like I give it like a 6 or 7 out of 10. I would watch it again because when it got to be a Nolan film, it got to be the Odyssey. I enjoyed it for what it was. What didn't I like it because it's a good Odyssey movie? Not really. But I liked it because I went in it with the mentality, this is Nolan's version. I know what kind of guy he is. I bought the ticket. I know what I'm getting into. All right. I know the risks. I know he's pretentious. I know he's he wants a grounded version of it. And that's kind of what interested me. I want to see what his version, a grounded Odyssey, would look like. I was just curious. So I knew what I was getting into. So as looking at it as Nolan's Odyssey and seeing it for what it was, what he's trying to do, I quite liked it. And the reason didn't love it, but I didn't leave the theater going, oh, that was so woke or anything. And the reasons why, because I liked a few things added into it, like the token that he carries along with him, kind of representing his guilt. And speaking of the guilt, I know people don't like it, that he's like, oh, he's a mourning, guilt-ridden Odysseus. And that's kind of where me looking at it as a Nolan film comes in. Okay, this is Nolan's Odysseus. And it kind of does make a little sense if you want to see like a hero in Odysseus, where he's like, I feel guilty about what happened, what I allowed to happen in Troy. The whole idea of, okay, I'm going to use this peace offering to trick him into surrender, or to trick us into Troy, and so we can just sack it, open the gates and sack it. And then he sees the sacking of Troy, and he's like, whoa, I could see that happening as a possibility. Now, do I also like the Odysseus that's like, I don't care, I did awesome. Yes, I prefer that Odysseus, but I can see some where he was coming from with this kind of Odysseus, and him being kind of guilt-ridden and not wanting to go home because he's guilty about his past sins at Troy and everything, and then carrying around that token, like as a signal for like, this is a kind of a symbol of my misdeeds, what I failed to do, and things of that nature, and trying to kind of like he returns it home so he can be redeemed of these past sins, because it's kind of almost literally what they say.
So I get what you're saying there, right? And I think there might have been something there if it just, for me, wasn't utterly undercut by so many things, like that whole narrative about he has PTSD from a sacking Troy and he regrets it and things like that. That really started to come off like a men bad narrative, and
when the feminism stepped in, because when the women stepped in, it was like, I was sitting on this throne for 20 years and you get to have it because of the whiskers on your chin. I'm like, shut up.
Yep.
Shut up.
And
if you were sitting on it, why is the kingdom look like shit then?
Yep. And also, the message was basically, if men are going to be left unto their own devices, they will lead to the end of civilization. And if you do not treat strangers, immigrants, well, that will also lead to the end of civilization.
Yeah,
right.
I kind of got the hint of. I kind of got that when I was watching the movie, but I was like, is this just me being hypersensitive?
No,
because they dropped that line saying like, okay. Yeah, the whole thing is we need to be nice to strangers. No,
that's no. Like if you're actually paying attention, sometimes those strangers might burn down your city. Oh, but
look what happens when you were nice to strangers.
Yeah, what are the strangers going to do when they realize you're going to be nice to them? They can trick their way into your walls. I mean,
drink your wine and eat your food for 20 years.
But that's why
what happened when they let the strangers in, the suitors, a whole palace full of suitors.
Right, and so that underlining kind of ideology is actually baked on a fundamental level into this film. Christopher Nolan has actually admitted this, right? So he's said that the Odyssey is ultimately about the idea that society can only function through respect for strangers. That's his ideology on full display right there. And what he means, like strangers, he means immigrants. Okay, this is actually forcing modernity into a classical tale for an ideological purpose, and that's the entire film is all about forcing modernity into it, right? Where they wanted to restructure the perspective of the servants to be slaves, and then there's these girl bossy moments with the queens and the female characters and things, and then the men are depicted like if men in their true natures were revealed, they're just pigs. Like she didn't turn them into pigs. She turned them into their true nature, and they became who they really were.
When she turned them back, she goes, back to your disguises.
Back to your disguises. Like what a piece of crap ideological message right there. That men being civilized, they're just acting in disguise. In their true selves, they're just pigs that are going to rape, pillage, and destroy civilization. Right, and that is also bookended and re-established in the film when the horrible sea people that have been destroying, raping, and pillaging were Odysseus and his men all along. We were the sea people, he says, right? And so this is actually not, being overly sensitive and trying to see wokeness where it's not. No, this is actually very core to this film, and it's done subtly in a more clever ways, which is why not as many people are noticing it, but it's actually a fundamental aspect to this film. This film is laced on a fundamental level with subversive modernism and ideology from a left-wing lens. Okay, that's Christopher Nolan right there. It is ultimately anti-men, anti-male in its final message and payoff and underlining themes throughout the entire thing. Okay, listen to what it's saying about civilization and all those things are, men's natural tendency to be violent and stuff, and also the whole thing about Zeus's law, and it's all that Zeus's law thing constantly contradicted about we deserve this because we broke Zeus's law. When hang on, no, that they broke Zeus's law first. Okay, but
plotting against him.
Ignore that, right? Ignore all that and just, go along with the flow, I guess. Because, so the whole turning into pig scene, there were so many stupid things throughout that whole process. And then you have the underlining narrative laced in it as well. Ruined that engagement for me.
There were some horror elements that were very, very well done. Sorry, go ahead.
I'll say, why did they spare Cersei? Because I know, okay, well, she's just a trauma victim or something like that.
They turned her into a trauma victim that had been, raped by bad men in the past, which justified her preemptively, essentially murdering people. And she was feeding those soldiers meat from people that she had turned into animals previously, right? She was like a cannibal. And feeding human flesh to other people, and
she's going to keep doing it. So yeah. I mean, it was way better if they just killed her. I mean, she's a bad guy, but it's like, okay, we're going to spare her. I mean, I'm sorry to bother you, sorry we hurt you. That's kind of cringe. So that's kind of this movie could have totally been like a 9 or 10 out of 10 in some respects had it not been for this stuff. Like the feminism was really annoying when it popped up. Like it just popped, you know, and then it's kind of culminated in Zendaya's face, you know, her I'm disappointed in men face, and she just the one face that she has. Like I'm pretty sure that's why they hire her, so that she can have that face and look disappointed at men. And
so
cringe.
There was something that might have like I was actually like I could have been engaged and drawn in with the father-son dynamic when he returns. That was like there was something they could have done there, right? But it ends with the most dog crap final fight scene sequence I've ever seen. It's like, oh no, he's got a single bow. Let us all our aggressive brave men suddenly become, you know, like horribly scared, ducking for cover because Odysseus has a single bow. Anyway, like 5 men could have rushed him and it would have been over. And the way they tried to justify that fight scene, it was a clown show. He ends up literally spinning like a retard with the axes that he grabs out.
So weak. That looks so dumb too.
The whole end sequence was a comical farce. Oh my gosh.
I also watched The Return with Ralph Fiennes. And at the ending battles, I think it's way better there because it's like he gets the bow, just starts shooting people. One shot, one kill, because that's like a really dangerous, deadly bow. And then when he runs out of arrows, they do rush him. And he's just like, this sword is mine now. Stab, 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 you're dead. Like there's no beating Odysseus. He just like casually walks around and just kills people, and he just ruthlessly kills everyone. Like, no, please don't kill me. Dead.
Right. They could have pulled off like a John Wick. Odysseus is just beyond badass, but the actual choreography, the way he's fighting, it's garbage. He's not competent, and they haven't shown him as being an unstoppable warrior throughout all other parts of the film. He's constantly getting his ass handed to him, basically, throughout all the other bits of the film. So they don't establish him as being an unstoppable warrior. And then he gets there, and it's just absolute nonsense. And so not enjoyable. Pulled me out as well. Added with all the other problems.
This is another problem of Chris Nolan that I have noticed, is that when it comes to action scenes like that, he is not that good at it, and he's not willing to call in somebody else to kind of help handle that. If you think back to the confrontation in Dark Knight Rises, the confrontation between Batman and Bane, like,
oh, that sucked.
I remember that sucked, man. I was watching that the first time. Batman's coming in like this. I'm like, what is this?
There is no Dark Knight Rises in this household.
Oh my gosh, yeah. He really doesn't do, especially like hand-to-hand fights like that, very well. Doesn't really have the sense of the kinetic action that kind of needs to be portrayed to make it look like what you were describing, a John Wick kind of a moment. And you know, it's a weakness of his. This movie puts a lot of his weaknesses on display.
Yep. Yeah, I'd say this. I don't really go to Nolan movies for the action, like not the combat action anyway. Never once.
See, like I've been completely red pilled or black, whatever it is, just disillusioned by Nolan. Like I'm giving him no charity or concessions at all. I expect this film to be held to any other standard, and I'm not going to give him any excuse because his Nolan, it's his style. No, like I'm seeing through the false veneer that has been trying to kind of like mislead people, fool them, whatever, to like confuse them to see if there's anything of actual substance or depth here. Well, no, this is actually a very subversive, right? Manipulative, plot hole ridden, historically inaccurate piece of crap of a film that I despise. And so one of the other things that ruins the film is everything is basically fake. Okay. Remember, Nolan, he wants it to all be realistic. And so the gods, they don't actually exist. They're just delusions that Odysseus is having. Okay.
The only might exist was Athena, but we learned that it's not actually, it might not actually be Athena, or it might be Athena taking the form of a slaughtered priestess that he saw being beheaded.
See, every bit of information he actually gets from Athena are things that he could have easily just assumed himself, or that him in his PTS state just told himself. All right. Every single interaction of the gods is like that. And also every single shown fantastical element is actually an account given by Odysseus while he is in a drug-addled state. Every other on-screen scene where he's not drugged has no fantastical elements apart from his delusion in seeing Athena or a god. But there's no like fantastical creature, giant whirlpool, or anything like that happening. All of that are accounts from an unreliable narrator because he is in the state of being completely drugged.
I was really disappointed in Calypso who drugged him in the first place. Like she's like they changed her from like this glorious sea nymph to she's basically a beach bum who lives in like some shack.
Yeah, exactly. He actually the whole intention behind this is to have a means to explain away every single fantastical element, all right, to somehow then say, but because the story gets told, you know, in an unreliable way, that's where the original tale comes from, is people just kind of making crap up, but from a genuine belief that gods do exist still. And Odysseus saying, this is what really happened because that's what the mushrooms showed me, you know, when in reality, none of it actually happened. He's just making it up, and his men died along the way because of a storm. And he ended up on a beach where some hobo chick ended up drugging him to keep him around because she liked raping him, right? And then when he finally wakes up to his senses, he stays there for 8 years. He's 8 years with this lady drugging him and raping him, right?
Also, a lot of things took me out of the film, even while I was watching it. Like, not just the fact that they all talk like Americans. It's like there's no effort in accents or anything. Diverse crew. It's also, I just really can't buy Mark Wahlberg as Odysseus. Not one bit. Sean Bean, I could, and even Ralph Fiennes, I could, but not Mark Wahlberg because he looks like Mark Wahlberg.
Matt Damon,
or no, yeah, Matt Damon.
Yeah, that was another thing that I don't think got pointed out nearly enough. We could sit here and talk about the miscasting of Elliot Page and Lupita Nyong'o.
Casting is
that was one, but look, you know what took me out way more was John Bernthal as John Bernthal. Thank you.
Yeah,
man, that was so bad. He goes to see Menelaus, and he's like, "Is this John Bernthal?"
Yeah,
he's not John Bernthal playing Menelaus. It's just John. I don't even know if John Bernthal knew the cameras were running. It's just kind of he's just John Bernthal. It's this crass blue collar redneck guy playing King Menelaus of Sparta. I don't really buy it.
Mm-hmm. So other things that were just horribly done. The Siege of Troy, comically retarded. Okay, so they show the scene of them in the horse when people are drowning, when they could have just like lifted.
I still like that scene. I liked it.
I
can't be dishonest about that scene. I emotionally I was invested. I liked it.
I respect you being honest about your emotional reaction on when I was watching it. I couldn't believe it's like, why are you letting him die? You're like, you've got room, just lift him. What are you doing? It's just like I couldn't believe
I felt like, man, if we got more stuff like this, if they kind of like made a Troy movie and it was like this, like just hardcore. I think he should have made it like an Iliad movie rather than an Odyssey movie, because he was like more hardcore. Like we're in it now, boys. We're gonna survive. That could have been cool. I could have seen that. 'Cause I like that we're inside the horse. I've never seen that done before. To like that, like this, like it's like we're in like Fury, like we're in this tank together.
That's what I mean. There's something there, right? And I think people are either not noticing or not wanting to see the stuff that is undermining it, because on the stuff, there is something there. There's something that could have been great even. But for me, all of it is just utterly ruined. I'm not like, I can see your smoke and mirrors, Christopher Nolan. Don't try and friggin' fool me. And so, but then there are other blatant things, right?
Like John Leguizamo, not even try. Hey, Odysseus, what's going on? I'm walking it.
He's literally holding the bow, like the handhold is here on the bow, but he's holding it up here and shooting it like a complete noob. That was atrocious. But the siege, let's get to the siege, right? We see the walls of Troy, only like 20 feet tall. They're not insurmountable in any means. They are garbage, but they kill the people on the wall who are literally on the wall standing guard, and then they grab a brazier, throw it down on the ground, and it turns out the entire army of the Greeks are just hanging out right next to the wall outside. And hang on, you're telling me the soldiers on the wall that were there like 10 seconds previously didn't bother to like hang out some light, just look on the other side, do their job? And so that entire night, not a single soldier noticed an entire friggin' army approach the city, which, is their job. But that is like, they were just, had a brain aneurysm and were blind that entire time. And no, it's like, they're right there. And then the actual attempted defense of the Trojans to try and stop these, small group of guys, right, is like, playing Nerf gun in a forest. It was garbage level. And the whole like process of trying to open the door, it's all comical nonsense. And when the door finally opens, you see it's like that thin, and it's like a battering ram could have knocked through that without any difficulty at all. And so it was just so comically bad. And then it gets to the whole, let's all do the raping and pillaging and murdering women and everything, because men are horrible, men are bad, and we're gonna, chop off
priestesses and stuff.
Yeah, kill priestesses, chop off their heads and things. And they are applying, all throughout this film, they are applying a modern morality and imposing it, forcing it into an ancient context that just wasn't there. Okay? Like, in regards to sieging a city, this even applied to the medieval period, right? Like the usual course of events when they're besieging something is like, we give you a chance to surrender. If you do not want to suffer the consequences of, us taking the city, surrender now, and we will show you mercy. If you do not surrender now, that is you counter declaring war on us. And if we have to suffer through any losses when you could have surrendered now, right, we will repay that to you tenfold. Okay. And so from their mindset, this is the both ancient and even medieval mindset, right? When a city finally fell that had a chance to surrender previously, they feel genuinely all the pillaging that happens after is 100% justified. And they almost see that the people that they are now pillaging, the city they're pillaging as the aggressors for not surrendering. You might say that doesn't make sense, but that's a modern mindset you're imposing on the past. Very few people, soldiers, felt bad about pillaging a city after they conquered it.
Especially I prefer like the rendition of Odysseus. Like, I don't really feel bad about what I did at Troy at all. Yeah. We won. We deserve to win.
That is their historical mindset, and it's instructive, and I feel important to actually portray realistically and honestly, because it shows the progress that we have had throughout history with a greater moral understanding, and especially the impact of Christianity. Like in the past, it wasn't actually considered particularly immoral to murder someone, only if like the people around you thought that was not called for, unjustified in some way. But murdering someone for insulting you, most cases, perfectly fine. Pillaging, most cases in history, perfectly justified. They didn't see it morally wrong. And the fact that, we're more enlightened now, and again, Christianity was one of the big influences that actually would teach, all right, thou shalt not kill. You think that's obvious? No, that needed to be stated in the past to try and pull people to a greater form of moral understanding. And so to try and then say that Odysseus is having this, mental breakdown because of all the murdering and slaughtering when it's been raised in a completely different culture is forcing a modern morality into it. Same with the feminist bullcrap and the haven't I sat on the throne for so long and all that stuff. And in like ancient Greece, particularly, right? Ancient Greece were like, if you want to find certain cultures that were more sexist than other cultures, ancient Greece can almost take the crown of one of the most sexist cultures, where women were regarded as very much lesser to men. This is the historical context. You can look up, many things like, and the women were not allowed to, participate in many things, right? Ancient Greece. Oh boy. And it's funny, like in medieval period, that women had, certain rights and were acknowledged and everything. And that shows the progress throughout history. But go to ancient Greece, but no, this queen is in power and everyone has to, bow to her will, when in actual context, like she had no power, right? And those suitors were far more of a prominent threat, right? In a proper historical context, with how little power this Greek woman would have had in the context. But no, she almost feels justified. And the fact, the idea that she would think that she should have some type of claim to the throne in a historical Greek context is such asinine modern bullcrap, right? She would actually have been so desperate for a king to be ruling for her and her king, because from that time period, she would have seen it as so much more necessary. She would have legitimately felt that a woman would not have been able to run the kingdom in any competent measure at all. She would almost see it as an insult to the gods of the notion that she would lead the kingdom. And that's why the whole dynamic of the original story is important, because she would have known that she needed a king. Okay, she needed to remarry for the stability of the kingdom. In this one, no, she had girl power. I'm not going to marry. I could almost do it myself, and I'm insulted by the idea that you think I need to marry.
That's modern Hollywood's. That's modern Hollywood's moralizing that they think women need to be empowered more, as if, female leaders would somehow be inherently more moral and more peaceful than men, which, if you look at history, that is certainly not the case whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. Right. Good comment here is they were such a threat because she couldn't kick them out. Her feminist rant is 100% modern. The legal limbo at not knowing of the king is dead was the whole problem. Exactly.
That's why they kind of have to go find out, okay, did my dad die at Troy? What's going on here, Menelaus? Also, one of my favorite parts of that movie was just Helen of Troy being there, and then he's just like, I guess her face has only launched 500 ships now. He scarred the face, and then this bitch had the audacity to go, tell your mom I'm sorry about Troy. You're sorry?
Right.
You caused this event.
I know, right?
Your husband, he's caused all this crap, 20 years of chaos and suffering, and you're sorry?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Shad. In historically, when these societies who were very much beholden to their pagan gods of the era, kind of hearkening back to what you're talking about, when they sack cities and when they defeat their enemies, wouldn't they have at the time kind of seen that as a blessing from their gods and hey, look, if the gods didn't want you to be sacked and killed, you would have won, correct? I feel like that's an element that doesn't get used a lot in stories like this. It's a mindset that's admittedly outdated to the way we think, but it's something it's ever present in a lot of older societies.
And to answer this guy's question, absolutely not. And so the modernization of this ancient story is really jarring, especially the language, the whole daddy, verbiage and other things like that. Just feels like a movie made for the modern audience with a, progressive underlining ideology baked into it, subverting the original tale almost wholesale. That's like what the Odyssey is. And then when you combine it with the brain-breaking plot holes in how the plot actually progresses and the contradictions, even with their attempt at the message, what they're doing, it's contradicted constantly. Horrible fight scenes, the worst historical adaptation like I've seen for ages, the terrible casting. This film is, in my opinion, monumentally crap. Now, he was more on the positive side, and I'm genuinely happy for him. I'm not trying to take away if you guys enjoyed it. It is. I'm sharing my perspective. I hate this film.
I have some good news for you, Shad. I put out an article on Twitter and on my Substack earlier today. I was in the middle of writing over the weekend of the rant, about just kind of picking this thing apart, and then it kind of hit me. This is not going to be remembered. And in the same way that a lot of media that gets dropped in the last few years is not being remembered all that well, this is probably going to come and go. I don't see it being one of those movies people watch repeatedly very well. We're talking about it now because it's, the zeitgeist. It's out in theaters now. But I think especially when Spider-Man hits in a couple of weeks, people are going to both not only forget that the Odyssey came out, they're probably not going to remember that they even watched it at one point. It's certainly not going to be on a lot of people's DVD racks because so much, this is part of the death of the monoculture that not a lot sticks, right? Look at some of the big movies we've had that dropped. Like Supergirl dropped 2 weeks ago. Does anyone even remember that movie?
right.
I was seeing, and this is bot farms, by the way. I was seeing on Twitter so many accounts that were dick riding this movie and saying, "Ha ha, the anti-woke brigade lost this one."
We'll get there.
About? Nobody said that it was not going to be a financial success.
Yeah. But
nobody said that.
There is more of a discussion to have on that. That's going to be on the next segment. But we got Metatron in the chat, and he says, Shad is right. It varied by city-state, but a queen consort without a husband had little ruling power. During the Hellenistic era, royal widows occasionally ruled as regents, but not in Mycenaean times. Yeah, and like I'm not an expert, all right, on the classical period, but I've read enough, all right, to know that the certain rights that women had compared to men were drastically different in that time. And so like the modernity being forced on this film is just revolting. It is one of those films made for a modern audience. Again, taking a classic tale, warping and twisting it to appeal and push ideological messaging in a more subtle way. I'll absolutely grant it. I'll absolutely grant that. And so those are my kind of broader, and sometimes more specific views on the Odyssey. And as I mentioned, I hated it. But gentlemen, there is another topic to discuss in regards to the Odyssey, because that's the kind of the film discussion, the actual context, what is in the film. There's a whole nother thing happening, whole nother battleground, and that is what is happening with this film socially and how people are latching on and using it, everything. Because here's the thing, right?
If you dislike the film, the worst thing about the film was the critics, like the mainstream critics. It's like Rick and Morty's fan base. Like, I like the show, but the fan base, on the other hand.
well, here's the thing. This film is woke. And now some people might say, no, it's not. And that is because it's more subtle. But when you're paying attention, you're looking at it, right? This is actually one of the more subversive, woke, ideologically infested films, especially with the concepts of how it's portraying men, the message behind, them being the cause of the fall of civilization, the girl power moments, and the messaging on, you have to treat strangers, Zeus's law and the way that they portray that and everything like that, right? It's all there. But people might say, I'm just being crazy. I'm just seeing, stuff. It's not. But here's the thing, right? When they see it as a cultural victory, suddenly the left are ready to claim it wholesale. Now, the contrast to this is Supergirl. Supergirl, an insanely woke film, not on its surface. And I said this like in the discussions where there's no like statements about toxic masculinity blatantly saying, you're just, internalizing this or misogynist man that or white privilege this. And that's when it slaps people in the face. But nearly everything about that film was a feminist power fantasy. That was woke at its core, yet because it failed so bad, very few kind of people on that ideological side wanted to claim ownership over it when it was blatantly woke, right? Odyssey is another one of those things where it's not blatant on the where there's an insanely woke ideological flag waving kind of statement to signal to everyone how woke it is, where it's actually far more subtle but when I say subtle, its actual core structure is all ideologically woke, right? And I'm not the only ones. In fact, the ideologues on the left, because they see it as such a victory, well, they are admitting it as well. The Odyssey's epic box office haul breaks the go woke, go broke myth. And I'm like, oh, so you're admitting it's complete woke ideological nonsense subversion slop? But you're doing it now because they see it as a win. And I'm like, yes, do it, because you don't realize that you've just taken the mask off and admitted that this film is ideological slop propaganda from the beginning. And one of the biggest things that they're loving about it is, of course, the whole destruction of Western culture in trying to replace our classic myths and stories with their diverse ideological interpretation of it. They wanted to completely warp and twist the Odyssey into something that had an ideological, woke, fundamental message and basis, and also for their push of representation. Remember, the whole push for diversity and representation is founded on completely Marxist socialist principles, where they see someone, like, oh, there's so many people with money and we need to forcefully redistribute it. And there's so many white people represented in media, we need to forcefully redistribute to make sure there's diversity and equality all throughout it. And it's that whole ideology of forcing equality, right, that is baked into the actual filming of this film, right? Like the structure of it and how it was made was all about the diversity push, right? And remember, the core ideological framework of diversity is intersectionality, and the entire concept that you can force equal outcomes, because they feel anyone that is overly represented or has more than anyone else, that's a crime. That's something an injustice has happened. If someone has more money than another, that's because they must have stolen it from someone who has less, not because they've just worked harder and produced more money and resources for themselves. No, they took it. It's the whole class warfare, jealousy underlining ideology. And so because that same philosophy is applied with the push of diversity, where they see, oh, there's so many white people in what is predominantly a white represented country or something like that, we need to now force diversity. But Asian cinema, and if there's a movie with mostly African people about African history, like that, oh, don't dare touch that. Okay, that's for some reason, diversity to them just means less straight white men at the end of the day. Okay, but
really does.
And they're not really good at hiding it either.
They're not even good. Well, they freely admit it, right? They have now openly, happily acknowledged that the Odyssey is absolutely woke. But it's successful, which means you're false. That the whole get woke, go woke narrative is false. Like, this is such a glorious exception to the rule of get woke, go broke, right? Because I would love it. I would love it so much that if Hollywood,
and I'm going to tell you, Shad, I don't believe a majority of the accounts that were signal boosting this particular message, because each one of them, I kid you not, that started arguing with me in my Odyssey comments over the weekend, all of them accounts that are fairly new, they're sub 100 followers. It's a Hollywood bot farm. 100%. It's a Hollywood PR firm, bot farm, that is masquerading as it's some of the most astroturfed engagement I think I've ever seen. They were nowhere. These accounts were nowhere when Supergirl was flopping box office, trying to say it was the best thing ever.
No joke, like Lord of the Rings reviewers, and it's like, yeah, real people, and these are Odyssey reviewers.
Exactly.
But no, there's actually more evidence to this. This is getting astroturfed, and there is bots at play here. I've got things to talk about. Like, this is why
all these engagement.
Yeah, like this segment is like, this has become an important cultural moment for the culture war, especially for the left, because they think it's a win. And I'm like, oh, yes, please do. Please think this is a win, because they are going to fool themselves and think that we can force our ideology into stuff that has no reason or purpose in it at all and be successful. And here's the thing that they don't understand. The Odyssey is not successful because of the race swaps and the modernization of it or anything like that. It is successful in spite of those things, because Christopher Nolan is a very popular director and is very clever at manipulating and sneaking things in under the radar. Most people in Hollywood are not as talented, not even close. Think about the talent that is being brought to bear for Doomsday coming out, right? They do not have the talent or cleverness to pull this off. Nolan is one of those rare exceptions, but they, with reactions like that, think that we can get away with it. I'm like, yes, think that. Please do. Please push it. Because for every Odyssey that you get, you are going to get 100 Supergirls, right? And they're going to just push out and make another Supergirl in response to this. And I'm like, oh boy, just wait until you see the box office for what you make in the future that you're going to justify based on the success of the Odyssey. Do it. I cannot wait. This is going to be
also this claim is blatantly untrue. It's like if you look at it, like you said, Lord of the Rings. Like, Lord of the Rings is effortlessly good. and they put a lot of work into it. But I mean, it's like you don't need a army of journalists to convince and browbeat people into liking it. All right, so it's just good on its own. Like a lot of movies are like that. Like a really good movies are like that. Like that with Obsession, no budget, but just word of mouth. It's effortlessly loved. It's just good on its own. You don't need a legion of journalists kind of, forcing everyone to like it, browbeating everyone into liking it, and then saying, oh, no, actually, it's good. You don't need that. But meanwhile, Christopher Nolan is dragging wokeness across the finish line to the movie's detriment. So the whole idea of like, oh, everyone is okay with woke and they love woke. No, people love this movie for the other things.
Yes. Most people are not noticing the wokeness in it, to the point where I'm sure there'll people have that attack me saying, you just see woke in everything. This film is not woke. When I'm like, guys, your side are claiming it as woke, as like a champion example of something that is fundamentally woke and successful.
Like, every movie is like Schrodinger's woke. It's if it fails, oh, it was never woke. Actually, it succeeds. Oh, yes, it's woke. See, it's woke.
Yeah,
Everyone loves it.
If it succeeds, it's woke. If it doesn't, we just pretend it doesn't exist, like Supergirl.
Exactly.
And then move on to the next. What was it?
While
don't ask questions, just consume product and then get excited for next product. There we go.
And so whoever wrote this, right, the tagline is basically Odyssey is really successful, proving flops like Ghostbuster and The Little Mermaid weren't due to politics. People will pay for a great yarn or a great film. And it's like, no, even stuff that actually isn't the worst thing ever will fail because of ideological subversion being forced into it in ways that just check people out. And yes, most of these woke slop movies are bad and deserve to fail for just being bad, not just for being politically subversive, right? But the political woke crap that they force into it makes it so much worse, right? I don't think Snow White, right, would have been a success if it wasn't, woke slop and all the comments from Rachel Zegler. I still think it would have failed, but it wouldn't have been as much of a failure. Okay.
I mean, if you want a really good example of something that didn't have any of the ideology wrapped around it that still ended up failing, the Aladdin live action movie that had perfect representation for the area. It had, big star Will Smith, but everybody's complaint was that it just didn't look good to them.
Yeah.
They didn't like it. It's viewed as a bit of a bomb and a flop. And there was no ideological discussion around that movie, and it still flopped.
Yeah. And in contrast to it, she says people will just pay for a great yarn, meaning that a good film will just succeed in spite of politics. It's like, no, we have direct recent examples that contradict you completely. Masters of the Universe, I think, is a great film. I loved it. I also fought very vocally, prominently, and made videos that it was not woke. But because the marketing made it look like it was woke slop, that just utterly destroyed so many people's interest in that film. They completely checked out, and they had all this stupid commentary that Masters of the Universe, He-Man, was about toxic masculinity and everything, and that spread around everywhere. And so many people just checked out completely, which harmed its box office drastically, in spite of it being, in my opinion, a legitimately great film. Another perfect example is Dungeons and Dragons. That was a great film. I loved it. I thought it was really, really fun. Maybe just really good. Not great, but still very enjoyable. But there was such stupid commentary trying to present it as some subversive, ideologically woke piece of crap that so many people were checked out. I was ready. If I wasn't reviewing it, I wouldn't have even watched it myself because of the commentary around that. But it was actually a good film. And so this bullcrap idea that good films will simply succeed, okay, even when, with politics, politics and woke subversive crap absolutely harms things. Things might occasionally succeed in spite of it, like the Odyssey, but the old adage, get woke, go broke, isn't a guarantee, but it speaks to something that is real, that people get completely checked out when they see things that they love forced into a modern lens, modern audience, woke crap, left ideological bullcrap, characters being changed, our heroes being destroyed. We do hate that, and that legitimately, absolutely harms the performance of these films. But the fact that they're trying to say it doesn't, I'm like, oh,
And they're
please.
putting that article out there as if we haven't had a bunch of, you know, ideological films that have absolutely tanked in like the last year. Anybody remember The Bride? Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride?
Exactly. Like there again, what I said, for every Odyssey, the exception of a work film that is successful, you're going to have 10 to 100 astronomical bombs that were ruined by the ideology being infested into it from its initial inception, like Supergirl. That ideology ruined that from the very get-go because it was made, the whole script was written from a feminist propagandist kind of lens to cater it to a female audience, when Supergirl from its very beginning was made for men. Okay, men enjoy superheroes, men enjoy Supergirl. There was a character made for them, but no, men, that's male gaze, bad, toxic masculine, all that stuff. We're going to try and subvert it and make it for the new audience, and they didn't show up, right? And so that film was just destined to fail from that ideology and the politics being forced into it from the very inception of the project, okay? And there's going to be hundreds of films that are going to end up exactly like that if they believe that article. And I'm like, yes, please do believe it. Think that, you know, your ideology is not hated by most people in the world, right? And that your modern audience is so, you know, huge that you'll be able to make box office successes with each other. Please keep on believing that. And so much so, right? They, because they perceive this now, they're looking at the Odyssey as an ideological battleground and victory. Its casting was so blatantly ideologically based, you know, Helen of Troy being race swapped, and so many threads like, we are Greeks from Ithaca, and it's like, you know, you're not Greek, right? Like the attempt to just take away traditional European like cultures, myths, and stories to the modern audience. And remember, they don't do this for the other cultures. Like Moana, they had cultural consultants, people being very respectful for the Hawaiian or Polynesian cultures in Moana. When it comes to you know, Greeks, screw them.
It's like, okay, like,
you don't deserve your culture doesn't deserve respect.
Exactly. And this kind of the same people who say white people have no culture. Like they do. You're just so surrounded by it. You're like, oh, they're just stories. No, this is culture. You just so surrounded by it, just absorbed it.
But they see straight white men as the enemy, and therefore their heritage and culture as something to be, you know, reclaimed and reframed and stolen or undermined and anything like that, because they don't want straight white men to, you know, be in power. So therefore they want to undermine anything that might inspire or uplift them or encourage them or show them that, you know, wow, your history and culture is actually something to be admired and respected and thought of and learnt from and things like that. And so constant pushing to subvert it. And that is where the whole kind of discussion of the Odyssey kicked off, with those race swaps. All right. That's what we're seeing. And Saga of Akkad has a great video going to the core of this, why they race swap. Okay. And it's fundamentally to attack culture that they have seen to be in the seat of power too long. And it's all just a power grab. And so you can check out that video from Sargon, but that's what is so, it's so blatant that the left, they know this. They've admitted, like, yes, this is a woke film and it's a success, and they're latching onto it desperately. So much so that now the kind of gaslighting is in full swing to try and tell people that this is like a masterful film. Even people who like the film, like LitDev, and even like people who love Nolan, like Jeremy, and I love Jeremy, Geeks and Gamers. They say it's kind of mid, maybe slightly above, right? I've seen no honest person say this is a masterpiece 10 out of 10. Okay, only desperate shills. Whereas like this film is so, on its surface, so blatantly average. And in my opinion, when you really break down and pay attention to everything, and if you love historic, actually, this film is absolute garbage. I feel this is a disgusting film, something to be loathed, right? The narrative, they're so desperate online to try and take that away and say, no, this film is great. This film is phenomenal. Everyone, masterful. Everyone go see it. And there's like, we've talked about, that seems to be like lots of bots defending this film. John, you've just shared kind of an anecdotal example, but like, it turns out that someone has found evidence that even Rotten Tomatoes is lying about the actual score of the film, the audience score.
Yeah, someone found that out. Where it's just like,
yeah,
I
I've
just assumed that, you know.
stuff. I heard
I've got, yeah. Now I've got something to share on that to show what they're saying. But before I even go into that, Rotten Tomatoes, right, is absolute garbage. We've seen their lies from the beginning. Remember how they froze, was it Captain Marvel's review score? Because it was going down and down and down, and then suddenly stopped. And no one's like, we've never seen like a score freeze like that and not fluctuate. And it didn't fluctuate at all. It just stuck on that thing constantly. Ever since then, I've known Rotten Tomatoes is absolute bullcrap. Do not believe it at all. I've never cited it. Even films that I like that you know, I've seen people like, I would never cite Rotten Tomatoes to show, look at people liking the film, even if it was positive Rotten Tomatoes. Because Rotten Tomatoes is just absolute bullcrap, dishonest, subversive junk. The people running the website use it to manipulate things all the time. Never looked at it right. And so when people are constantly showing it has such a positive Rotten Tomatoes score, yeah. So did they show that for The Last Jedi and Captain Marvel. Like, piss off with that. I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes. And even if people are loving this film, which nowhere near as many as are, nowhere near as many people are loving this film as people trying to claim they are, right? But even if it was, it wouldn't change the fact that this film is mid to garbage level, right? That's the truth. That is the absolute truth of this film. And I don't need Rotten Tomatoes to confirm my ability to look at something and judge it on its merits for my own self. I have that capacity. Everyone, you have that capacity as well. You don't need Rotten Tomatoes to validate your views of a film. Rotten Tomatoes is garbage. And it turns out more evidence has been coming to light that it is astronomically bullcrap and garbage. As an individual has shared here, big discovery on Rotten Tomatoes for the Odyssey. The real audience score is sitting at 56%, not the fake 97%. They're showing with the verified audience bullcrap. And it's like, well, if that's true, that is perfectly in line with that Rotten Tomatoes. Like, they've done this type of crap before, but there's more. Like, this is like the actual kind of report that someone has found. So Rotten Tomatoes says the Odyssey has a 90% audience rating. The raw JSON data proves it's actually 56%. That is far more in line with where I'm seeing people land on this, right? Where people are either sharing it's a little above average to garbage. That's the most common thing, consensus or report that I've seen people have online, on Twitter, in my comment section. In my comment section, most people hate it because, they're more history enthusiasts and stuff. But even from my kind of, bubbles and stuff, it's actually most people hate the film. And then outside of the bubble, people are like, yeah, just about, and I've only seen the occasional, and I could count them on one hand, right? People saying that it's actually brilliant. Like, I have not seen the overwhelming majority of people saying that this is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. That's bullcrap. I have not seen it at all. And it seems like this rating is far more in line with what I've been seeing about the film. And so there's this whole thing that goes through the whole stuff. The Rotten Tomatoes made a major change to how audience scores were calculated back in 2019. Many people don't realize what happened, but the single change is why the Odyssey score currently is sitting at 97%, yet standardizing the data properly reveals it at 56%. The discrepancy comes down to how Rotten Tomatoes creates the verified audience scores versus all audience scores, and they go into detail, but they even change the percentage. Like, now it needs to be 60% or something like that, right, to be on the more positive. Or if most people say it's always been a bit weird how they calculate it, but you can check out those posts on Twitter. They actually breaks it down. Looks like most people think this film is average to crap, but 97% positive.
I think the real testament of whether or not this movie has any lasting power, or if it's actually is being perceived the way that they want it to, is where we're going to see the second and third week drop-offs, which The third week drop off is going to be off a cliff because Spider-Man's going to hit and everyone's going to forget this movie exists. I really do think, Shad, this movie will just be, it'll be kind of like Tenet. It's something that was made. They saw it, they moved on. And like a lot of other stuff, it just won't have the cultural lasting power that they're claiming it is. Because they're once it started making over $100 million, like, it's a financial success. The point I was making on Twitter to a lot of them that refuse to understand this point, hey, Captain Marvel made $1 billion. It's a good movie, right? There's you know what? I'm gonna pull something up. I don't go ahead and talk. I'm gonna show something.
No joke. Knuckleheads Online have been trying to say, because this movie is so far making money, it's like, I'm very interested to see how much legs it has, because I've watched it. I think it's garbage, and it is very rare for a garbage film to be hugely successful. Again, Captain Marvel is like an exception to that, and Star Wars, the Disney sequels, Force Awakens, stuff like that, they were successful based on the brand and the nostalgia and people not being jaded, and to see what now people see those films for what they are. And I have a feeling Odyssey is going to be like that. Like, this is not going to be remembered positively. People are going to look back and on rewatches and stuff like that, and they're going to think, oh, wow, kind of sucks. Right? I genuinely think that's going to be the long-term perception of it, even if it's massively successful at the box office. But I think at the moment, there is still questions to be had about its overall box office success. Like, if this film basically doesn't make either 800 million to $1 billion at the box office, it's basically a failure. It's underperforming, not doing what they wanted it to do.
Perception versus reality, Shad. I want you to look at this picture. I've never forgotten this. This is a 2-page ad for Batman and Robin. Look at some of the quote-unquote critic reviews of this. The best of the Batman movies. The best Batman ever. The summer hit. Sensational entertainment. Most spectacular Batman yet. Surefire hit. Sizzling blockbuster. Spectacular. Top city Batman ever. My favorite Batman so far. Is that what you associate with Batman and Robin? Which I love, kind of in an ironic, fun kind of way.
That's not a good film. It's not a good film.
Was the perception of this movie for so long that it was garbo. It was so bad, it shut down the Batman franchise, and it went into hibernation until Christopher Nolan rebooted it, a little grittier, a little darker, but it felt much more like the Batman we really wanted to see. It is entertaining, Nathan Cassidy, and but it's not entertaining in the ways that it was intended to, and it was not the tonal shift that Batman fans really wanted at the time. They didn't want to go back to the Adam West Batman in the 90s. I'm sorry to say that's a whole discussion we could have another day. But this is the point I was trying to make, is the perception of they want you to have versus the reality of its actual perception. And it's what's going to happen to the Odyssey over time. You're not going to see it right now because it's making money.
Well, not only that, right? Because I don't think I reckon people upon rewatching are going to realize that this film is nowhere near as good as their first watch was, because the first watch, I think it's very easy to be kind of distracted. Not all. I didn't mention how horrible the movie's score and music was. It was the worst sound mixing and score I've ever heard.
Oh, God, the sound was off. I almost completely forgot. Like, I was mentally blocking it so much.
It hurt my ears. Like, I went to IMAX. That's the supposed, primary, way to view and experience this film. And I was sitting on one of the closer rows where you could recline in the chair, and I wasn't closer to the speakers. I don't know. But the sound was so blaring and so bad and so piercing, it was hurting my ears. I had to cover my ears in certain parts because it was uncomfortable. It was the worst movie-going experience I ever had. And people try and say, like, Christopher Nolan should not be given any like charity excuses for how crap this score and music mixing is. And they try and say, oh, it's an artistic kind of expression, so you get immersed in everything. No, that's you trying to justify the crap smeared on the canvas as high art. Don't get fooled by that bull crap. This is inexcusably, incompetently garbage bad sound design and mixing, to the point where it's not only unpleasant to watch, it's hard to watch because you can barely hear the characters speak. Right? This is not an artistic choice that has some type of artistic expression or merit. It is just bad. And Christopher Nolan opting and doing that, right, is actually not a choice of artistry. Again, it's modern art. No, it is incompetent bullcrap trying to pretend itself that it's something deep. This crap smeared on the canvas, modern art analogy fits to it perfectly. He deserves no charity or credibility or any leeway. If this type of sound design was in like Supergirl or any other film that wasn't Christopher Nolan, everyone would be destroying it for how bad it is. But no, it's artistic. No, it's just bad. It's crap. That's what modern art is.
I know he said he wanted to make the score with only the instruments that were available of that time period. And I appreciate that kind of artistic integrity, okay? But it's also going to depend on the execution. And the execution was not good.
Like his bullcrap excuse for historical accuracy is just dishonesty. It's lies because he doesn't give a crap about historical accuracy. Look at the damn film. And it's like, oh, but we're not going to use an orchestra because they didn't have those types of instruments in the period. Get out of here. You just wanted that rapper in there for more diversity points. Don't give me this bullcrap.
It's kind of like I want the accuracy where I want accuracy, not the whole film to be accurate.
Yeah, exactly. It is hypocritical bullcrap, and I'm not buying it. I'm not gonna be fooled by this guy, especially anymore. Not after this just travesty of a film. And so, going back to the whole narrative that people are latching onto, okay. This film is very easy for the shills to praise as a masterpiece because, again, I think people are getting distracted by what is really going on in the film. With exceptions, I think Lit Dev is a very insightful guy, and I trust Lit Dev. And if you enjoyed it, I absolutely believe him. All right, but genuinely, because there are enough people saying that it's all right, it's easy for them to try and gas it up far more than if they tried to do it with Supergirl. Supergirl was so blatantly, obviously bad that even the critics are like, gee, if we shill for this, we're going to lose all our credibility, not realizing they've lost all their credibility already. No,
my score for the movie was still like 6 or 7.
Exactly.
Just about average or so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, but like, dude, the critics are gassing this up. It's a masterpiece, 10 out of 10. Everyone got to go see it, right? And so the shills are out in force, all right? And then it seems like Rotten Tomatoes is even gaslighting and fooling people in, right? When a lot of people that I've, interacted with just think it's either average to garbage. Okay. This film is not a masterpiece. And anyone saying it, I reckon, is lying or is bad at their job and just, not a good critic at all. So, the ideologues that are jumping onto this, please go ahead. Like this is funny to me at this point. If you want to try and if they want to try and fight defense for this film, I'm like, wait and see what the future, perception of this film is. I think it's actually going to be, kind of forgotten. So it's not going to be, but we'll see. We'll see in the future. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But even the box office, right? The box office was so huge because so many people prepaid for IMAX screenings. All right. I think I'm really interested to see what this film is going to be tracking like after Spider-Man comes out. That's going to be the test for it. Maybe we'll have legs, but we will see. We will see. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at, and we are reaching the end of the stream, and so let's grab the super chats and start to wrap up. And so Otchigdor for $5 says, off topic, Shad, I just received my Romance of Men Lancer Song Rapier, waiting for your review video. I believe you're talking about, is it this one? This is their Romance of Men Rapier. Yeah, we haven't reviewed it yet, but we want to. This is a very cool sword. Looking forward to it. Yeah, and look, I've handled it already. We've done some tests with it, and it's a very cool sword. Awesome, dude. Jiggly Saint, $5 says, hey, Shad, I just got around to picking up a physical copy of Shadow of the Conqueror, and so far, I love it. Awesome, dude. Thank you. I'm very happy that you're enjoying it. Update on my current novel. It has been sent to my editor now. I've done the revision that I wanted to get done, and now it's in their hands. It's still going to take a couple of months now. big book. And we've got 2 stages of large editing revisions to go through, but it's moving. It's still moving, and the book is written, and so it's exciting. That's exciting. Nathan Cassidy, we did cover the super chat. This was in regards to Doomsday, so I appreciate you, mate. Our mod in chat. Alex Halo for $5 says they made crossover anime that has the full cast of all 4 different isekai anime, and it doesn't feel as bloated as this movie. I think I've seen that on Crunchyroll. I might need to watch it because
I just started watching that Country Bumpkin Swords Master. It's pretty cool.
yeah, it's all right. It's all right. I like it. I don't think it's the greatest, but I love that they went into the detail of the swordsmanship, and actually one of the few pieces of media that reflects real historical swordsmanship somewhat accurately.
It's clearly a harem. It's clearly a harem series.
It's basically a harem series.
One anime that I've seen that's been getting a lot of traction lately is the one with it's called Chainsmoker Cat, and it's kind of gross. It's gross on purpose though.
You know, like the other anime that looks like the normie activists have now started to, I guess, realize exists is Mushoku Tensei. Have you seen all the criticism and attacks on that one recently?
Oh yeah, the creator came out saying, I'm not bending the knee. I don't care how much you get.
Good on him for not bending the knee. Mushoku Tensei is one of those ones where even I'm like, it's like, guys, it's like there are some stuff that the main character simply does, which is just way over the line. All right, I'll mention one thing the characters, because I'm rewatching it for the new season because the new season has dropped, and it's reinforcing that there are some things in Mushoku Tensei it's just like, and it stands in contrast because that show that anime also does some things that are very impressive from a narrative perspective. Like it has some really, really solid character work, and there's a whole discussion about the things that this character does. The show isn't actually kind of justifying or validating it because he has to work through like all his issues. He's basically, didn't have a life. He was a guy that only lived on porn basically in video games as a shut-in, and then died and is reborn. And so he has all these mental issues that he needs to go through still. And those mental issues are in play at the beginning of the series, which is why he does certain things which are just like, dude, what are you doing? Because he's an astronomical perv, and he literally tries to steal a girl's underwear while she's asleep. And it's like, and it's played off as the anime comedy thing where she wakes up and then kicks him for out of the and he gets beat up for it and stuff. But even I'm like, what are you thinking?
Don't worry, Shad. They'll rediscover Berserk again soon.
Yeah, then they'll discover Berserk. But like I said, Mushoku Tensei is even one of those things where I'm like, dude, what are you thinking? It's just like, what? But at the same time, it's one of those things where the anime is not portraying that as something that is good. It's portraying it as, no, this isn't inappropriate. That's why she reacts the way she is. And this guy has issues. And it's also played off for comedy. And so, yeah, there are those parts to it that thing. And then some of the best animation in Mushoku Tensei. But anyway, that's one of those
wacky Japanese.
Yeah, Japan, man. It's just one of those things. Yeah. We've got Bogue for 50 MX says, Earth's mightiest heroes, the Doom confrontation is still better than this. This movie has not earned it, and I don't care about anything beyond Infinity War. Yeah, I'm kind of there with you. Boog. I'm just making sure we didn't miss any full cast. Yep. Nathan Cassidy. More than 40 years ago, they all learned from No Way Home. Well, all they learned from No Way Home was cameos. That's what everyone loves. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yep.
Because Hollywood always learns the wrong lesson from a success or failure.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We're a Harbinger, I think, for 10 says, I've noticed that media in general, video games too, the only stuff that sells is rehashes of the old stuff people liked. And they're still doing it, just constant rehashes. Like, there's another Hunger Games movie coming out. I'm like, I thought that was well and truly done. But no, they're going back to Hunger Games because they can't make
prequel.
Another prequel, yep. So, the guy that trains them, Hamish, is the guy that won the former Hunger Games in the district that they come from. It's a Hunger Games movie of his Hunger Games, how he wins. And he's not, look, the character wasn't terrible. So I think there's actually some more merit to that one than the previous one, Songbirds or whatever it was, which is the origin story of the snowy evil villain guy.
Wasn't he the one played by Woody Harrelson in the first movie?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
Woody Harrelson. Yeah, so it's his origin film now, but still, it's like it's another one. Yeah, rehashing so many stuff. Is everyone in the industry cannot make anything new and good? Sad, very sad.
I mean,
I get what you're saying.
You know, there's a joke about the indie video game devs that they just keep making the same 5 games over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of lean towards agreeing with that, but at the same time, I don't mind it so much because so much of what is new is not that great, but stuff that kind of harkens back to the games that I really enjoyed growing up. Your pixel-based, turn-based JRPGs, your fighting games, your Metroidvanias. I mean, honestly, you just keep pushing copy-paste on those. I kind of don't mind. I'll be perfectly honest there.
Here's the thing. The old stuff was better than what we're getting now, but the problem is when they try and remake or rehash something, right? They don't have the talent to make it as good as it once was. And so when they remake something, they just end up ruining it most of the time. And I'm at a point where I don't want them to touch any of the stuff I once loved. And it's weird because He-Man, Master of the Universe, is a rare exception in that standard. Whereas like, wow, they did justice to the old material and it was really good and it was based. It's like, I'm baffled by that. It's just such a rare occurrence because everything else nearly is just such garbage. And I'm still defensive. I still don't want him to touch it. Touch anything I love or still love, once loved. But Ventu Brumer, I think, for 10 says, my favorite version of the Odyssey is Epic the Musical by, I can't pronounce, George, you know?
I think it's Jorge.
Jorge. Reverse Herons. He was heavily inspired by anime and video games for his musical, but he treated the story and characters with respect. Yeah, and you know, it's funny, right? Watching the 1990s something miniseries of the Odyssey is lower budget. It's absolutely lower budget, but it's so much more accurate. Even the outfit sets and designs, I've seen reenactors wear equivalent stuff, even though it looks low budget. Here's the thing. In the Greek period, right, the stuff they made would look low budget to us because they didn't have modern manufacturing standards. And so oddly enough, the low budget kind of look of that old miniseries feels more authentic to what it actually would have looked like in period because of the limitations they would have had in making things. And so I'm oddly enjoying that visual representation. Funnily enough,
well, you know, Shad, I don't know if you remember this or not, but that TV movie was produced by TNT. They had some pretty good practice up to that point because they adapted a lot of popular Bible stories into made-for-TV movies, and those were good. Yeah, those were good. They, Moses, Joseph, Samson. They did a lot of those. So by the time they rolled around to the Odyssey, I mean, they kind of were already rolling with that whole period level accuracy with a lot of that stuff. And so I remember watching that and I was like, this is pretty cool. I like this.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and I thought they did a great job.
Yeah. So I'm really enjoying the 1990s remake, right? And it's free on YouTube. Look up the Odyssey. You guys can watch it right now and it's so far, it's great. But just on that note, excuse me for a sec. People have been trying to attack it as a result. When no joke, this old version is better than Nolan's one. But they're trying to say that, the online right is truly spiraling into brain death when they've convinced themselves that this is a masterpiece of world cinema. And they show the final stringing of the bow thing from the old 1990 something remake. And no, you're trying to gaslight us. This, though low, but all they can think is that because it's low budget is bad. No, the actual acting and what's being conveyed, and by the way, their clothing and what the actual set looks is more accurately Greek than the Nolan one. This is no joke, legitimately better. But because it's low budget, they think it's bad, and they think it's like some own or you're exposing yourself if you actually think this is better. And it's like,
now that I'm thinking about it, like their sets and costumes might have been left over from some of those Bible TV movies.
Well, not only that, but they're like, I've seen reenactors wear similar stuff to what you're seeing here, right? Some of this stuff is actually quite decent, and as well as the painting on the wall on the background, like the fortress that the kingdom of Ithaca was in, right? It was a ruin, and it looked they painted their walls and their statues and everything. They like color. Look at the background of this. Like this is no joke, more historically accurate. And from what I've watched so far, like Odysseus is actually the cocky, brash, clever character. This is no joke better. And the fact that this guy's trying to say, look, it's so bad, just shows how much of an idol.
Art can carry you places that budget can't.
Absolutely.
It even stands out more than what we saw from the Doomsday movie, where everything was so drab and dark, and you can barely make anyone out.
So that's Odysseus stringing the bow. Like the acting actually isn't that bad either. And then, this is when they're getting locked in and stuff. And you don't need a high budget to make something great. Stargate SG-1, low budget, effects are wonky and everything like that. Brilliant. It's the writing and how they present something that can make something good. No joke. I've started watching this. This is easily better than Nolan's one. Right? Go watch it, guys. If you haven't seen it, it's free on YouTube. But they're trying to even say, no, this is crap, just because they can't look past budget. That's the level of quality standard that they hold. If it just looks flashy and it's polished, so many people are like, it's a masterpiece. It's like, no, pay attention and you'll see, right?
People who like sizzle more than steak.
No. Well, like Marvel has been sailing off that for ages. Give them flashy lights, special effects, fight scenes, and they think the audiences are dumb. And unfortunately, a lot of people get sucked into it. And they just like, oh, it's so fun. It's like, see, look closer. But I think but he treated the story character, with respect. Go for broke. 199 says, how much money to force you to play mixtape?
I'm watching the EFAP on that right now.
Not enough. Look, I'm sick enough in my daily life that I don't need mixtape to make it worse. Then McSkittles for $2 says they may as well have given them lightsabers. No joke. That armor from the King guy, a lightsaber would not have looked out of place. It was just sci-fi.
Star Wars,
it actually could have fit in Star Wars, man. Nathan Cassidy for $19.99, thank you, man, says, as a fanatic of Greek mythology, what really annoyed me was how Nolan tried to tie this in with the Bronze Age collapse. There was even a line, this will be the end of our Bronze Age, right? Oh, how cringe is that? And it was really obvious that he didn't really do the research of the era to make it work. This movie. Well said. The Alex Zorba for $5 says, Monty Python and Chris Nolan's Odyssey based on retelling by a mentally ill cat lady, 104% on Rotten Tomatoes, a movie so authentic no Greek was needed.
Monty Python's The Odyssey would have been really cool to see back in the day. I think about it.
Yeah. Etchidor $5 says, this movie is so bad, even the plot armor doesn't fit.
That's a good one.
Boog, I think, for 20 says, please recommend 3 good Odyssey movies. Well, I can recommend the 1990-something version, and I've also heard good things about The Return. I want to watch that now. And there's like an
Brother, Where Art
older
Thou?
One. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou was really good, and The Return was pretty fun.
There is a 1954 version that genuinely just looks better. Here is a comparison of that version here, where it's like, what this actually looks better. The Trojan horse looks better. The Cyclops is made in the 50s looks better. And look at that. The boat looks better. It's just like,
I mean, I appreciated that Nolan wanted to make the Cyclops seem monstrous, asymmetrical, like it was supposed to be an abomination of gods and men. Mm-hmm. I just don't think it kind of came across that way. Someone in chat earlier said he looks like a Mr. Potato Head. I am going to make that a meme.
Yeah, so there we go. 3 Odyssey recommendations better than Nolan's one. Starry Night Official $5 says, haven't caught up yet, but the Trojan armor at best looks like it was just dug out of an archaeological site. Otherwise, yeah, they look uber fake. Yeah, I that's applying the most strongest charity to it, but it's not meant to look ancient. It's meant to look polished and functional and real, and it's just I have no idea in what realm they thought
Alabama.
That's what they wanted to go with. Just unbelievable. Nathan Cassidy 499 says, Nolan, the man who gave Batman the magic knee brace and had an astronaut survive in a black hole. I want all my films to be realistic. Yeah, man. Oh, Interstellar got.
And that's what happens when he has to come right up against a very fantastical element he can't avoid. So, is he ends up doing it in a way that makes everyone scratch their heads a little bit.
And you know, like Interstellar has so many problems. I actually don't hate it still. Even I can look at the problems and see they're like Nolan. Yeah, you're not nearly as flawless as people say, but I can enjoy.
There's also a good example of the Nolan flaw I mentioned earlier. Like he has mankind go to an alien world. What is this alien world like? Big waves.
No, like there was so many stupid things. It's like, what? These are scientists. You're telling me that they suddenly forgot about relativity when they know this planet has a much higher gravity and therefore, well, they were aware of it, right? But they're going down and then they like, remember how difficult it was to get everything up into space? That was the entire plot point, that they needed to discover something that would figure out the mystery behind gravity to get humans into space. And that was a big plot point. But suddenly this ship can escape a planet with much, much, much higher gravity than Earth, and it can escape that planet easier than they were able to get the things into orbit from Earth. It's just like, there's just so many stupid things. And when I say about the relativity thing, right? They were like aware of the relativity, but no one actually realized that, because the relativity, the last people that landed on that planet would have only been there for a couple of hours. No one figured that out until they landed there. It's just there's a lot of stupid in Interstellar, but I'm able to enjoy that film still, even with the stupid. Hey, Ernie, I'm not going to try it for $2. Love your videos and your books, dude. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. And he also adds for another $2. It was criminal to not put in a nomen. Yes. Yeah. Like they cut so many things. This isn't the Odyssey, right? I don't even it should be considered as the Odyssey. It's so much of a diversion and subversion of what the original was. Alexander Cross Fido says, if God had wanted you to live, he would not have created me. Nobody. 1848 BC. Is that an actual line from it?
No, that's a line from the soldier from Team Fortress 2.
Oh, is it? Nathan Cassidy 499 says, the funny thing is the Chuds are undefeated in this because they were saying this film is going to suck, but it's not going to flop. And they were right. Yeah. Yeah, I was even saying, like, I don't think this film is going to flop. All this hype and everything around it. I am interested to know what the long-term final box office will be. If it has a drop-off, I would feel that is completely justified because I think the film is that bad. But maybe it won't. We'll see.
But remember my Batman and Robin analogy. What's the old saying? The only thing worse than a bad movie no one sees is a bad movie everyone sees. Fortunately, I mean, we're not going to get a sequel from this, you know?
No.
There's not going to be an Odyssey cinematic universe.
Mm-hmm. Brian Smith, 10 Canadian, says, I don't know the full Odyssey story, but the more I hear, it sounds amazing. What is the best movie or book version of it? Well, I've heard very good things, and I can report good things of what I've seen so far of the 1996, I think it is, version, which is available for free on YouTube. Just look up Odyssey on YouTube, and it's right there. It's in 2 parts, part 1, part 2, full films, and I've already started watching it on YouTube because it's free, and I'm really enjoying it. All right? You don't need this modern slop crap, and this version is so much more accurate to the original Odyssey, by the way, and Odysseus is far more accurate and in line. Oh my gosh. But there we go. We are all caught up. Those are all the super chats. And so we'll start to wrap things up. And as we do, LitDev, anything that you wanted to talk about, share?
Yes. Tomorrow morning will be another episode of Morning Nonsense, but tomorrow will be interesting. So I have a very special guest coming in tomorrow. Should be pretty interesting.
Can you tell us who?
Well, yes, I can. Once you tune into the episode.
Okay. Awesome, guys. Check out Morning Nonsense. It's always fun, chill stream. And John, you've got something to share, which is
yeah, guys, I have the Lionheart Icon of Justice has been doing very well since its release, and good news, we are almost at the physical editions being released. I've got to get a proof copy in. I had to do a bunch of jury rigging with the formatting and the cover, a bunch of boring nonsense that's been eating up some time lately. But as soon as I get the proof in and it looks good, we were having some issues with the gutters. You know, the words were too close to the inside of the spine. Once I get that cleared up, the physical edition should be out very shortly. I've gotten wonderful reviews on it so far. The shout out to the Fantasy for the Ages YouTube channel, which gave it a glowing review over the weekend. That was wonderful to see. And if you guys want some classic heroism, and if you like Superman and Captain America, classic, true, genuine heroism, you will like the Lionheart. It is a superhero in a fantasy, in an epic fantasy world story.
Awesome. And that is very, very cool. For me, everyone kind of knows where I am. I got a new video out on Shadiversity testing the actual stringing of the bow by Odysseus with surprising results. Surprised me. So there was one small thing that I can give credit to the film. And that's, on there. And like I've mentioned before, the other day
you didn't pull any ligaments or tendons or anything like that, did you? Because you was going for it.
It was a lot harder this time around because my health has been so bad and I'm out of practice with and stuff. So it took a number of tries, but I managed it. But it's a tough bow, man. And it's so funny. People sometimes say, "You're just weak," and I wish I was like, "All right, you try. Here's the bow," because I've done it. And like, unless you practice with it and you know how to do it and you're strong enough, normal people, they can't do it. It's like, it's really hard to do that thing. But thank you everyone for joining us on another Culture Crusade. It's good to be back. You know, it was annoying that I missed those weeks. Hopefully I'll be able to continue. No promises, but we hope to be back next week. And until then, stay on watch.